Chapter 960. Yi Juetian immediately opened the green essence pot. It was already empty inside. Lu Jing smiled gently, as if she was comforting her son. However, when he saw his mother smile, Yi Juetian felt like crying. He hated himself for being useless. If he had even half of his big brother's talent, he wouldn't have fallen to such a state. Mother, I will go and ask for it from father. Yi Juetian held onto the green essence pot and said in a deep voice. Lu Jing grabbed her son's sleeve and shook her head. Little Tian, forget it. Don't go looking for him. He has to go beg others. Mother doesn't want to be a burden to you. Mother, don't worry. I will have a way. I will definitely have a way. Yi Juetian said in a deep voice. Looking at his mother's pale face, his heart ached endlessly. Lu Jing held her son tightly and said softly, Little Tian, you know your mother's illness. I beg you this time, but there will be a next time and a time after that. There will be no end. Then I'll go find sister-in-law. Actually, what Yi Juetian wanted to say was that his sister-in-law had given him even more, and his father rarely went to ask for money anymore. He felt that his father had already abandoned his mother. Little Tian, Yuqing has already done enough. Mother doesn't want to see you two continue to work so hard. Yihua has already been gone for so many years, and I have already accepted it. You should properly guide Yuqing and tell her to stop being so stubborn. Just agree to the imperial family, Lu Jing said softly. 100 years after Yihua went missing, Yi family declined, and Qin family, which was also one of the three big families, proposed to cancel the marriage. Everyone knew that Yihua and Qin Yuqing only stopped at the wedding ceremony and didn't even have the time to consummate their marriage. After that, they were called to go to war and never came back. However, even if they had consummated their marriage, many people wouldn't care. After all, Qin Yuqing's appearance was intoxicating. Of course they would want such a woman. What else could the declining Yi clan do? They could only comply with the Qin clan. Qin Yuqing, who was originally living in the Yi clan, was taken away. At that time, Qin Yuqing didn't want to leave no matter what. That day, Spirit Capital resounded with Qin Yuqing's mournful cries. Many people heard it. The heavens were weeping. Yihua and Qin Yuqing's feelings for each other were spread all over the streets and alleys of Spirit City. However, in recent years, only the royal family wanted to marry Qin Yuqing. According to tradition, a member of the royal family could not marry a woman who had been married before. However, this prince was different. His talent and strength were comparable to Yihua back then, and thus the emperor approved of it. After all, his son liked him. However, Qin Yuqing wouldn't agree no matter what. How can I let Big Brother come back and take a look at Mother, even if it is just a look? Sister-in-law? Right now, I can only rely on sister-in-law. Back then, Big Brother was also very obedient to sister-in-law. However, if sister-in-law really went to look for Big Brother, wouldn't that make the royal family angry? At that time, the consequences would be very serious. What if no one finds out? This is a good idea. I can only let sister-in-law go and erase the demon in Big Brother's heart and let Big Brother return to how he was in the past. I wonder what kind of expression sister-in-law will have when she hears the news that Big Brother is still alive. She will probably be stupefied, right? Yi Juetian hurriedly went to look for sister-in-law. Right now, sister-in-law is definitely praying in the temple, but right now she is praying at home and is being grounded. Right now, we need a secret passageway. I heard that this secret passageway was dug by sister-in-law herself, and she directly dug it into Big Brother's room. I simply admire sister-in-law's courage. In order to sneak a peek at Big Brother bathing, she was willing to do anything. However, this is also what makes sister-in-law cute. Yi Juetian came to Big Brother's room, and the room was already covered in dust. Yi Juetian walked to the flower screen and opened up the floorboard. A passageway appeared below, and it could directly lead to Qin family. After all, I can't openly look for sister-in-law anymore. Qin family and Yi family have long stopped talking and cut off all ties with each other. Very quickly, Yi Juetian came to the top of the passageway and lightly knocked on it, then waited for a response. Very quickly, footsteps sounded out from the top of the passageway. Yi Juetian was now at ease, and he moved his head away from the top of the passageway. A face that was so beautiful that it could make one suffocate appeared in front of him. Although it was just a plain dress, it was unable to conceal that breathtaking look. Her eyebrows were like the faint moon, and her eyes were like the cold stars. A layer of haziness surged within her jet black and deep eyes, and that slight smile made one feel as if they were bathing in spring water. However, Yi Juetian knew that sister-in-law was lying to him. Chapter 9:61. Sister-in-law. Although Qian Yuqing was no longer a member of Yi family, Yi Juetian would still frequently call Qian Yuqing as a sister-in-law. Of course, it was also Qian Yuqing's request to call Qian Yuqing that. This way I feel that I am still Yi Hua's wife, and not like what the outside world is saying, that I already have nothing to do with Yi Hua. As expected, when Yi Juetian called out sister-in-law, Qian Yuqing was stunned for a moment. The smile on her face gradually fell. "Little Tian, you're here." Qian Yuqing let out a light sigh. "This is not Yi Hua." Juetian jumped out from the tunnel. "Sister-in-law, how have you been recently?" Qian Yuqing looked at Yi Juetian and nodded. "I've never had a good time. Little Tian, come and have a seat." Qian Yuqing said softly. She walked to the side of the table and opened a box. Inside was a bottle of green essence pot. Qian Yuqing took out the green yuan pot and said softly, "Little Tian, this is from Mother." "Sister-in-law." Yi Juetian looked at the small bottle in Qian Yuqing's hand and said, "I will think of a way in the future. Don't worry, little Tian." Qian Yuqing squeezed out a trace of smile. "How do I think of a way? Right now, the only thing that can protect my mother is sister-in-law. Could it be that you've agreed to marry Huang Yin?" Yi Juetian looked at his sister-in-law and asked. It was as if he was saying, "Didn't you say that you only love Big Brother? Why did you change?" Qian Yuqing said in a low voice, "Little Tian, the spirit spring is in the hands of the royal family. Only Huang Yin can save Mother now. Do you understand?" "Sister-in-law," Yi Juetian cried out in pain. On one side was his mother, and on the other side was his sister-in-law. Could it be that he had no choice but to watch as his mother died? But did he have to watch his sister-in-law marry into the royal family? Wasn't there a better way? "Little Tian, this is all I can do for your big brother," Qian Yuqing said with a satisfied smile. "As long as I am able to do something for Yi Hua, I will be very satisfied. Furthermore, the other party is Yi Hua's mother. Sister-in-law, Big Brother is still alive." Yi Juetian couldn't help but shout out in a low voice. After hearing this, Qian Yuqing was not overly excited. This kind of comfort was not something that had never happened before. "And I know your big brother is definitely alive right now, definitely," Qian Yuqing said with certainty. She firmly believed that Yi Hua was still alive right now. He wouldn't die. Yi Juetian knew that his sister-in-law misunderstood and hurriedly said, "Big Brother is really alive." Qian Yuqing looked at Yi Juetian in confusion. "I met Big Brother a few days ago. He was currently on the Kangluo continent. You even told me to come back this morning." Qian Yuqing looked at Yi Juetian in a daze. Her expression was a little strange, as if she couldn't believe the truth of those words. "Sister-in-law, it's true. I've been locked up by Big Brother for the past few days. Big Brother has lost his memory. He doesn't remember anything." Following Yi Juetian's explanation, Qian Yuqing's expression was calm. However, the tears in her eyes were like pearls from a broken necklace. Only after a while did Qian Yuqing's expression change. With a look of panic and nervousness, she grabbed Yi Juetian's shoulders with both hands. "Really? You're not lying to me?" "It's true. Big Brother is really still alive. At that time, even I jumped in fright. Big Brother himself seemed to have jumped in fright as well. Then Big Brother used a blood test method to verify it." Yi Juetian's words made Qian Yuqing feel like she was about to go crazy. After waiting for 1,000 years, this day had finally arrived. "I just knew that Yi Hua wouldn't die. How could Yi Hua die so easily? So he lost his memory. Heavens bless him." Qian Yuqing hurriedly knelt in front of the god and sincerely kowtowed with a heart full of gratitude. Yi Juetian stood at the side and watched. He did not stop Qian Yuqing. Sister-in-law, there's even worse news. As long as Yihua is still alive, there's no worse news. Qian Yuqing finally smiled. It was as if she had returned to the past. That feeling of joy caused her entire person to go through a tremendous change. In the past, she was lifeless, but right now, it was as if she had come back to life. She emitted an enchanting radiance and looked exceptionally moving. Sister-in-law, listen to me, it really is bad news. Qian Yuqing stood up with a joyful mood and asked curiously, is Yihua still well? The current Qian Yuqing looked as if she had returned to when she was 18 years old. Right now, Big Brother is no longer the Big Brother in the past. Yi Juetian said gravely. After hearing that, Qian Yuqing slightly wrinkled her eyebrows and asked in a low voice, what happened? Sister-in-law, do you know under what circumstances did I coincidentally meet Big Brother? Over 10,000 people begged me to go down. Over 10,000 people. Qian Yuqing was very puzzled. And Big Brother killed those 10,000 people who were unarmed and defenseless. There were old and young among them. Not a single one was left alive, and all of them were beheaded. Juetian said with a heavy tone. Impossible, Qian Yuqing said straightforwardly. In her heart, Yihua was an indomitable man. So how could he possibly go and kill defenseless people? Yi Juetian took in a deep breath. In the beginning, I was also unable to imagine it, but this is real. I saw it with my own eyes, and soon after, I was locked up by Big Brother. Ah, Yihua locked you up? Qian Yuqing was very puzzled. If what Xiao Tian said is true, then Yihua's change is truly earth-shattering. In the end, or what? In the end, it was Big Brother's two wives who discovered me and begged for mercy for me. Only then did he let me out. Yi Juetian couldn't help but say. As expected, after hearing that Yihua had two wives, Qian Yuqing immediately felt a sense of powerlessness, and her gaze became lax. This is truly not good news. Although Yi Juetian was angry at Big Brother in his heart, he still had to explain this matter to Yihua. Sister-in-law, Big Brother has lost his memory right now and doesn't remember anyone. That's why he married a wife. Although this was the case, Qian Yuqing still felt uncomfortable at her heart, because Yihua had said before that he would only have me in this life, and that I am his one and only. Right now, telling her that what Yihua said back then was fake, how can I feel good about it? As expected, Yihua is a swindler, and furthermore, he loves swindling his wives the most. Sister-in-law, Big Brother is a cruel tyrant right now. Today, when I asked Big Brother to come back to meet Mother and you, he told me to scram, and if I didn't scram, he said that he wanted to kill me, and he even said that what happened in the past has nothing to do with him. After hearing what Yihua said, Qian Yuqing slightly lowered her head, seemingly a bit sad. I have waited for you for over 1,000 years. Why aren't you willing to come and see me? Sister-in-law, right now, only you are able to awaken the conscience in Big Brother's heart. If you're able to let Big Brother remember what happened in the past, that would be great. After Qian Yuqing, who was in a daze, heard what Yihua said, she seemed to have seen a trace of hope. That's right. As long as Yihua recovers his memories, everything will be fine. I want to go and meet Yihua. Chapter 962. Qian Yuqing said firmly, no matter what, Yihua is my man. Even if I die, I have to die in front of him. Yi Juetian nodded his head. Sister-in-law, the news of Big Brother still being alive cannot be leaked. We have to make secret arrangements this time. And I know that, Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. Back then, Yihua suddenly disappeared and was said to be dead, but his corpse was not found. The entire matter was suspicious, and he might even have been framed. Therefore, the news of Yihua still being alive must not be found out. If some people were to find out, they would definitely do something bad to Yihua. At least that was what Qian Yuqing thought. However, Yihua just wanted people to do something bad to him. Yi Juetian said in a low voice, Sister-in-law, I can't accompany you anymore. After all, the two of us cannot meet each other at the same time. All right, where is Yi Hua now? In Kangluo continent, at a place called Wushu Empire. He is the emperor. Hearing Yi Juetian's words, Qian Yuqing laughed lightly. In the past, I felt that Yi Hua doesn't look like a general, and he looks more like an emperor. Just as the two of them were preparing, a shadow appeared at the door. Someone is here. Yi Juetian's heart sunk. I definitely can't forcefully move right now. If not, I will be discovered. Yuqing, are you there? A unique male voice rang out at the door. Qian Yuqing's expression sunk. Why did Huang Yun suddenly come over? Yi Juetian looked at Qian Yuqing. Right now, he did not dare to move, as Huang Yun might very likely sense it. Qian Yuqing let out a breath and said, I am here. What is the matter? Yuqing, can I come in? Huang Yun's tone was rather gentle, but compared to his identity, this kind of gentleness was rather low profile. After all, Huang Yun was currently a powerful figure in Spiritual City, comparable to Yi Hua. Qian Yuqing hurriedly said, It's not convenient for me right now. I have something that I want to discuss with you. I will wait for you outside. Huang Yun said with a smile. He was very patient. For so many years, Huang Yun had always spoken to Qian Yuqing with this kind of tone. He was indeed a very persistent man. If another man tried to chase after her for hundreds of years and still failed, wouldn't that man die from anger? After all, Huang Yun's identity was right there. In actuality, Huang Yun was much younger than Qian Yuqing. At the very least, Huang Yun was only born after Yi Hua went missing. In fact, when Royal Cloud was born, a rare phenomenon appeared in the Imperial Palace. Hundreds of birds circled above the Imperial Palace. Just from this alone, Royal Cloud was extraordinary. Back then, there were even people who said that Yi Hua had reincarnated. When I was young in Imperial Cloud, I had always been listening to him. Although I don't know this person called Yi Hua, I hate him. I feel that I am living under someone else's shadow. After that, I inquired about Yi Hua and discovered that this Yi Hua is indeed very strong, strong to the point of being ridiculously strong. Then, I definitely can't be weaker than him. Huang Yun's talent was indeed strong enough. At the very least, in terms of cultivation, he was even faster than Yi Hua back then. It was as if he had a cheat code. During one of the banquets, Huang Yun saw Qian Yuqing and immediately took a fancy to her. He was determined to marry her. In the end, he found out that even the woman was that Yi Hua. This made Huang Yun even more furious. Since he was able to surpass others in terms of cultivation, there was no way he would be weak in other aspects. If he can treat others well, then so can I. One couldn't help but say that Huang Yun had been competing with a dead person ever since he was born, and he had never given up. Qian Yuqing knew that if she didn't go out today, she definitely wouldn't leave. She indicated to Yi Juetian to go under the table. Yi Juetian nodded and gave her a careful look. Qian Yuqing was at ease. This Huang Yun was indeed strong, but his heart was still considered good. He wouldn't force others to do things that they weren't willing to do. Qian Yuqing stood up and tidied up her appearance. No matter what, this Huang Yun is a good person. These spirit springs were all given by Huang Yun. If not, where would I go to find spirit springs? Huang Yun also knew that this was for the sake of prolonging Yi Hua's mother's life. If it wasn't for the fact that her heart already belonged to someone, she might have really been touched. Qian Yuqing opened the door and saw Huang Yun standing at the door. Compared to Yi Hua, Huang Yun didn't have that kind of astonishing handsomeness, but he belonged to the standard type of war man. Especially the smile at the corner of his mouth. There was a bit of dimple, making him look like the big boy next door. Huang Yun was wearing an emperor robe that covered that immature aura, making him look more stable and reserved. Huang Yun had a head full of jet black hair, and on top of his head, there was an exquisite hairpin. In the past, Yi Hua also had a hairstyle like this, and it looked especially charming. However, the two's personalities were evidently different. Yuqing, when Huang Yun saw that the woman he liked had walked out, a happy smile immediately appeared on his face. He didn't even look at the situation inside the house. Qian Yuqing nodded, then closed the door and walked towards the garden outside the house. Yi Juetian, who was inside the house, let out a breath of relief and hurriedly slipped away through the secret passage. In the garden outside, Qian Yuqing was walking slightly at the front, while Huang Yun was following behind her. Although it was just a way of walking, it also represented what Huang Yun was thinking. To be able to let a woman walk in front of him, other than his mother, it would be Qian Yuqing. This was a way of thinking that wanted to protect her, or perhaps he was willing to let this woman walk in front of him and lead his life. "Were you praying just now?" Huang Yun asked in a low voice. Of course, he knew what Qian Yuqing did every day. Most of her time was spent praying. Qian Yuqing didn't deny it and nodded slightly. "Do you have anything to do today?" Huang Yun slightly knitted his brows for a moment, then relaxed and said with a light smile, "Minghuang Mountain is very beautiful this season. I want to go and take a look with you." Minghuang Mountain. Qian Yuqing naturally knew that it was very beautiful. After all, she had gone there with Yihua before. That day, when she confessed to Yihua, that idiot was shocked. Even now, she could still clearly remember that astonished expression on that idiot's face. Don't look at how cold Yihua usually appears to be. In actuality, he is just like a big boy, just that he isn't good at expressing himself. In the end, that fellow even pretended to be stupid and actually said, "Minghuang Mountain is very beautiful today. I confess to you, and you said that the mountain is beautiful, serves you right to be single for your entire life." Then I got angry and said, "If you don't want me, I will marry someone else." After hearing that, Yihua's face immediately changed, and he directly said, "I won't allow it." When she heard those 3 words, how could she be angry? Her heart felt warm. Then she made a bold move. She faced Yihua and slightly raised her head, then closed her eyes. Her heartbeat simply reached an unimaginable speed. That idiot actually asked you what you were doing. Even now, Qian Yuqing still felt that it was funny. I have never seen such an idiot before, which is why she said, when a girl closes her eyes, she wants you to kiss her. Then, she became even angrier. Yihua said that there are too many people here, it isn't suitable. Chapter 963. The originally romantic atmosphere was ruined by an idiot. That day, she almost fainted from anger. However, she liked Yihua's dazed look, it was so cute. Although she didn't get kissed by Yihua, she still held onto Yihua's hand. But now, that kiss has been delayed for over 1,000 years. Yuqing, seeing that Qian Yuqing didn't say anything, Huang Yun called out lightly. Following Huang Yun's call, Qian Yuqing's thoughts were pulled back. However, Qian Yuqing, who returned to reality, was at a loss. If she could, she would rather live in a fantasy or a dream. That way, she would be able to be together with Yihua every day. These days, my body isn't feeling well, Qian Yuqing said lightly. Minghuang Mountain was her and Yihua's place. Huang Yun was slightly disappointed. He had never gone out with Qian Yuqing before. He could only walk around the garden like this. Yuqing, take the green origin pot. Huang Yun took out the spirit spring from his robe. This was probably the only thing that could make Qian Yuqing turn back. Qian Yuqing accepted it. Thank you. Yuqing, we are about to get married. There is no need to be so polite, Huang Yun said gently. In his heart, he knew that the reason why Qian Yuqing was willing to marry him was because of the spirit spring. Others didn't know about the deal that the two made in private, but Huang Yun was already preparing for the wedding. If it was in the past, Qian Yuqing would have accepted her fate. But now, her hope was burning. But now, she rejected again. The spirit spring was broken. Qian Yuqing was a bit hesitant. All right, I have finished. Yuqing, you're not feeling well. Go back to your room, Huang Yun said lightly, seeming to be very considerate. Then, I won't send you out. Qian Yuqing squeezed out a smile. Huang Yun smiled. No need. I have been to your house countless times. This sentence seemed to be saying that you have not been to my house before. Seeing that Qian Yuqing walked into the house, Huang Yun took a deep breath and walked towards the door. Ninth Prince. Huang Yun, who was in the corridor, heard the voice behind him. He turned around and took a look. It was Qian Yuqing's father, Qian Yi. Facing Qian Yuqing's father, Huang Yun was still very respectful. He cupped his hands and shouted, Uncle Qian, are you here to find Yuqing? Why don't you talk more? Qian Yi looked rather ordinary, but no one knew that this ordinary man was actually a supreme being. However, one could see that one of Qian Yi's ears was missing. Yuqing isn't feeling well today. I won't disturb your rest, Huang Yun said politely, even though he knew it was just an excuse. However, they were all smart people and wouldn't point it out. If some things were exposed, then they wouldn't even be friends anymore. Ninth Prince, Yuqing is a bit slow. Don't rush. Qian Yi naturally hoped that her daughter would be able to marry Huang Yun. That way, Huang Yun would become the noblest woman in the entire Lingdu. One must know that the current Huang Yun was even more loved and respected than the emperor, just like how Yehua was back then. However, the biggest difference between Huang Yun and Yehua was that Huang Yun was a member of the royal family, and the emperor would be happy to be loved and respected, but Yehua was not. Huang Yun smiled understandingly. Uncle Qian, I understand. I still need to work harder. Come and have a cup of tea before returning to the palace. Then I'll have to trouble Uncle Qian. After returning to her room, Qian Yuqing opened the secret passage and walked in with the spiritual spring water in her hand. Sister-in-law, Yi Juetian had been waiting respectfully for a long time, and at the side, he had prepared some tools to conceal himself. Little Tian, take this. Qian Yuqing passed the spiritual spring water to Yi Juetian. Sister-in-law, why are you here again? I wasn't this diligent in the past. Suddenly, Yi Juetian thought of something. Sister-in-law, it can't be that you have already agreed to it, right? All right, you don't have to bother about this matter anymore. Cover for me. What else could Yi Juetian do? He could only make arrangements for his sister-in-law. Qian Yuqing could be seen wearing a white conical bamboo hat, and a white veil hung on the conical bamboo hat, completely covering her face. Yi family was rather strict, but when Yi Juetian learned how to go out and play when he was young, he had invented quite a few secret passages. After walking out of the Yi clan, Yi Juetian reminded her one last time, be careful. I'll leave Big Brother to you, sister-in-law. Little Tian, don't worry. I will bring your big brother back. Thanks for your hard work, sister-in-law. Sister-in-law, take this and go to the room to find a mute person. Yi Juetian could be seen taking out a yellow leaf. Qian Yuqing took the leaf and asked vigilantly, is it safe? It's definitely safe. The two of them immediately separated. After all, they could not let anyone see them right now. In the gods' realm, if one wanted to go down, they would not be able to go down just because they wanted to. They would have to go through registration, and the realm room was the place to register. If one wanted to go to any plane, they would have to pass through here. Qian Yuqing quickly arrived at the realm room. There were a lot of people here. After all, there was only one god's realm, and there were tens of thousands of worlds. That day, Yi Juetian had also accepted a mission here, which was why he went down. Qian Yuqing searched the hall for a long time, but he did not see a single mute. Since he could not find the mute, Qian Yuqing had an idea and held the yellow leaf on his fingertips. If the mute saw it, he would definitely come over. Not long after, a short man walked over to Qian Yuqing's side. He did not say anything, and only tilted his head, indicating for her to follow him. Qian Yuqing was overjoyed and quickly followed. After a few twists and turns, Mute brought Qian Yuqing to a room. There was a device placed inside. It looked rather simple and crude, as if it was made by himself. Mute looked at Qian Yuqing, as if asking where to go. Qian Yuqing said lightly, Kangluo Continent, Wushu Empire. Mute could be seen inputting something at the side. It should be the coordinates. The device looks very high-end. Qian Yuqing had never been down there before, and she was a bit worried. However, for the sake of seeing Yehua, she had to risk it all. Mute indicated for Qian Yuqing to stand on the device. Qian Yuqing let out a deep breath and walked onto the device. Before Qian Yuqing was ready, Mute pressed on the device. Qian Yuqing's delicate body instantly disappeared from the device. The best way to do this was to not be recorded, and thus, not be detected. This was also to prevent the fact that Yehua was still alive from being exposed. More importantly, this kind of non-official teleportation did not have that kind of extravagance. On top of Wushu Empire's city wall, Lai Gu was currently drinking wine by himself and looking into the distance. Yuhua, you have not returned home for almost a month. I miss you so much. This is the longest time that we have been apart. Beside Lai Gu, a cat was also licking the wine, seemingly to be missing someone too. Lai Gu let out a light sigh, then looked at the little cat and asked curiously, Zhu Tian, was your name given by his honor, or did you originally have this name? Chapter 964. Zhu Tian went into a daze for a moment. Sitting on the table, Zhu Tian slowly spoke. His honor gave it to me. Back then, my original body looked exactly like this, and I was taken away by his honor. Absolute Heaven had only been able to speak for the past few days. This meant that Absolute Heaven was recovering very quickly. Most likely, before Brett returned, Absolute Heaven would be able to return to his human form. This was a good thing for the entire team. They now had another source of combat power. From the looks of it, his honor's amnesia isn't very complete, and it is merely a difference of a single word. Lai Gu mumbled. From the looks of it, Lai Gu's intelligence had also increased after drinking too much. Yeah, Absolute Heaven also felt that one was called Yi Zhu Tian and the other was called Absolute Heaven. If he said that it was a coincidence, he would not believe it. Listen to Wei Chong. This morning, his honor chased away his blood brother. Lai Gu sat at the side of the table, poured another cup of wine, and said helplessly, this kind of thing would happen to anyone else. His honor is becoming more and more like a human, and this is all thanks to your wife. Zhu Tian was the brains of the team, and there was naturally nothing wrong with what he said. Zhu Tian, have you ever thought about what if his honor had a wife in the past? With his honor's personality, I'm afraid that the situation is bad, Zhu Tian said gravely. Lai Gu slightly frowned. Are you saying that your wife is in a bad situation? No, it's the past that wasn't good. His honor isn't like you, who likes everyone he sees. Zhu Tian, don't slander me. Ever since I got you Hua, I have been well-behaved. Lai Gu snorted, and he was even very tsundere. Hee, it's just that a better one hasn't appeared yet. Absolute Heaven did not forget to strike back. Did this lecherous dragon still not understand? Don't talk about so many useless things. Are you trying to say that his honor doesn't care about his former wife? Lai Gu asked curiously. I won't guarantee this kind of thing, but at the very least, I won't do it in the beginning. To his honor, this is a strange woman. To offend his honor's wife for a strange woman, his honor isn't that stupid. That's true. Unless your previous wife is as beautiful as your wife, his honor will probably consider it. Absolute Heaven revealed a look of disdain. Do you think that everyone is like you? However, just as the two were blowing water, a wave of fluctuation came from behind them. This gave the two of them a fright, and the hair on Zhu Tian's body stood up. Lai Gu locked onto his target tightly. The white-armored warriors at the side surrounded this strange aura, forming an encirclement. Puff! A white figure appeared in front of everyone. Everyone was stupefied. It seemed to be a woman. A deity? Absolute Heaven probed as he sensed the aura. This woman who suddenly appeared was, of course, Qian Yuqing. The coordinates of the teleportation were just right, and she directly arrived at the city gate. There was only a slight error, and she ran to the top of the city wall. More importantly, he even ran to the back of Lai Gu and Zhu Tian, giving the two of them a fright. Thinking that he was an assassin, the two of them immediately fell behind him. Qian Yuqing saw a cat speak. It wasn't that strange, but it was interesting that a cat could know about gods. However, these people were still very vigilant and surrounded him. Are these all Yihua subordinates? He seemed to be in high spirits. However, this patrolling officer is still drinking. I have neglected my duty a little. In the future, I have to properly talk to Yihua about this. After all, when Yihua was leading the army in the past, he was rather proper. When it was time to drink, he would drink, and when it wasn't time to drink, he would definitely not drink. May I ask if this place is Void Empire? Qian Yuqing asked gently. Hearing this woman's voice, Lai Gu and Zhu Tian took a glance at each other. This woman doesn't seem to be here to cause trouble. Lai Gu waved his hand, and the white armored soldiers spread out uniformly. This made Qian Yuqing feel that these are the soldiers that Yihua trained. Zhu Tian jumped onto the table and asked, "This place is Void Empire. What are you, a deity, doing here?" After finished speaking, Zhu Tian realized that something was amiss. Right after his honor's younger brother left, a woman came here. This can't be. Zhu Tian had a scary thought. Hearing that this place was Void Empire, Qian Yuqing's mood became extremely good. With a relaxed tone, she said, "Can't deities come here?" His honor doesn't have a good impression of deities. "Then who are you all? Aren't you all afraid of being scolded by his honor for drinking here?" Qian Yuqing asked again. Lai Gu stealthily kept the wine pot, then looked towards the other side as if nothing had happened and even whistled. This sneaky action of Lai Gu's caused Qian Yuqing to laugh lightly. Yihua's subordinate is rather interesting. "Are you here to look for someone?" Zhu Tian asked confusedly, wanting to confirm his thoughts. Qian Yuqing nodded her head, then took off her conical bamboo hat. However, when Qian Yuqing took off her conical bamboo hat and revealed her stunning appearance, Lai Gu and Zhu Tian were both dumbfounded for a moment. Isn't this a little too beautiful already? This woman is actually comparable to his honor's wife. After getting used to looking at his honor's wife's appearance, this woman seems to be even more beautiful. Right now, Zhu Tian was almost certain that this woman was his honor's wife. His younger brother definitely told her about it when he returned, and she immediately came down. Lai Gu was indeed stunned, and he asked curiously, "You are so beautiful. You couldn't have come to Void Empire to look for a man, right?" Zhu Tian slanted his eyes and looked towards Lai Gu. "You dare to take liberties with his honor's wife?" "I am here to look for my husband," Qian Yuqing said tenderly. There wasn't a bit of deity's tone. On the contrary, she seemed very amiable and approachable. Zhu Tian revealed an expression of as expected. Lai Gu was very puzzled. "You are the husband of a deity. Why would you be in Void Empire? You're definitely a spy. Don't think that just because you look good, I will fall for your tricks." "My husband's name is Yihua. Do you two know him?" Qian Yuqing said with a slight smile. Lai Gu had a dumbfounded expression on his face. Although Zhu Tian had guessed it, he was still shocked in his heart. As expected of his honor's wife. His honor's wife is here. Something big has happened. His honor, you are finished. This is simply a debt of love from my previous life. You don't think that just because I am drunk, you can lie to me. Lai Gu shook his head. Why is his honor's luck with women so good? He has 3 beautiful wives, and there is even a stunning Daji waiting for him. And now, another one came over on her own accord. How are we, subordinates, supposed to live? His honor, please give me a way out. I'm not lying to you. Yihua is really my husband, Qian Yuqing said lightly, then stretched out her tender and delicate hand and lightly caressed the video. A lump of smoke could be seen spreading out, and gradually, an image could be seen. The two looked at the video. This is a wedding ceremony. The long-haired and cold-looking man in the video is his honor. Although his honor's hairstyle changed, his temperament did not change in the slightest. However, Yihua, who had long hair, was still very handsome. Chapter 965. His honor could be seen lifting up the red veil, and Qian Yuqing's beautiful face could be seen. She is truly beautiful. His honor's taste is always so unique. It's no wonder that back then, I only met Qingya and Dongwang Baiji. Lai Gu feels that back then, the two madams weren't even as beautiful as this Dongwang Baiji. It's only because they were trained by his honor that they became this beautiful. Look at the shy face of the bride. Lai Gu compared for a moment, and found that they were indeed the same person. But, is that his honor? If that is his honor, then there's a problem. Qian Yuqing waved her hand. Do you believe me now? Lai Gu gulped down a mouthful of saliva, and absolute heaven didn't say anything either. After quite a while, Lai Gu said in a low voice, This mysterious woman, I have been following his boss for over 1,000 years, but I have never heard of you before. Lai Gu almost shouted out his honor. After all, in front of a stranger, it was still not possible for him to say it out. I got to know Yihua more than 2,000 years ago. However, he went missing later on. Today, Yihua's younger brother told me about this. You guys should know about this, right? Since Qian Yuqing had already said it like this, Lai Gu and Zhu Tian had no choice but to believe her. However, they were still conflicted from the bottom of their hearts. After all, the appearance of this woman was equivalent to disturbing his honor's family relationship. One must know that in the past, his honor had a family disturbance, and his honor had to rely on a group of actors to muddle through. But now, this is a marriage, and his honor has never done this with your wife before. In that case, this was the first wife, and the current one was the second wife. Oh my God, about that, beautiful lady, it isn't convenient for our boss today. Why don't we come again another day? Lai Gu muttered. Zhu Tian did not say anything and expressed his approval. Qian Yuqing's expression became a little downcast. She said softly, "Then I'll go by myself. I don't need to bother you." Zhu Tian didn't dare to be careless. If I were to be promoted by his honor in the future, wouldn't I be making things difficult for myself? Humans were all like that, vengeful. It really isn't convenient for boss to see you right now. He still hasn't mentally prepared himself, Absolute Heaven explained. Qian Yuqing bit her lips and said firmly, "The reason I came here this time is to see Yihua." Hearing Qian Yuqing's resolute words, Lai Gu and Zhu Tian didn't know what to say as they looked at each other. Lai Gu hurriedly reported, "Your Honor, something big happened." Right now, Yihua was currently resting with his eyes closed. Daji was standing behind him and massaging him, while Qinya and Dongwang Baiji were currently playing the zither for Yihua. However, Lai Gu's voice transmission appeared in Yihua's mind. "Don't tell me everything is a big deal. Didn't I teach you? Your Honor, this is truly a huge matter. The number one madam is here." "What number one madam? What are you talking about? Believe it or not, I will stew you. It's true. Your Honor's ex-wife has arrived, and she is currently heading towards the Imperial Palace. Zhu Tian and I are following behind her." Yihua was startled, and even Daji, who was behind him, was startled. Qinya and Dongwang Baiji stopped playing, and when they saw Yihua, they seemed to be a bit panicked. "Stop them," Yihua said gravely. Don't you understand human language? Stop him for me. Don't let her enter the palace." Yes. Lai Gu had no other choice. Of course, I have to listen to his honor. After cutting off the connection with Lai Gu, Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. "My little brother just left in the morning, and this inexplicable wife of mine came in the afternoon. I'm very satisfied with my current life. I don't need anything else." "Yihua, what's wrong?" Qinya asked concernedly. Yihua tightly wrinkled his brows, seemingly thinking whether or not I should tell them about this matter. Looking at Yihua's wrinkled brows, Dongwang Baiji knew that it was a huge matter. If it wasn't a huge matter, Yihua wouldn't frown. "What's wrong?" Dongwang Baiji asked tenderly. Yihua let out a breath. "This matter is something that I will know about sooner or later, so I might as well tell them about it directly. The woman that my little brother was talking about is here." Following what Yihua said, both Qinya and Dongwang Baiji were startled, and they didn't know what to say. This is too fast, right? However, thinking about it, if other people knew that Yihua didn't die, they would definitely rush over immediately. However, the problem right now was, what kind of attitude would Yihua have? This was what Qinya and Dongwang Baiji were worried about. Is he going to continue the relationship, or is he going to have other thoughts? Looking at the bad side, he's going to continue the relationship. Qinya and Dongwang Baiji weren't sanuses, so how could they possibly accept other women? Qin Yutong was an exception. After all, they were already familiar with each other. However, this newcomer doesn't know anything, and for some reason, she came to snatch away a man. Although Yihua had lost his memories in the past, in short, his heart still didn't feel good. "Yihua, what do you plan to do?" Qinya asked in a low voice. "Chase her away," Yihua said coldly. "Sometimes a little bit of determination is required." "Chase her away?" Qinya and Dongwang Baiji didn't dare to believe this. This seems to be a bit too ruthless, right? Women are just so complicated. On one hand, they're jealous. On the other hand, they are pitiful. And on the other hand, they're blaming Yihua for being too ruthless. This kind of matter should be sat down and properly discussed. After all, Lai Gu and Zhu Tian had received a serious mission, and that mission was to stop this former wife of yours. On the streets of Wushu Empire, everyone was looking at Qian Yuqing, and all of them were completely captivated by Qian Yuqing's appearance. As Qian Yuqing walked past, everyone's head moved from left to right, as if they were bewitched by Qian Yuqing's beauty. Wait a minute. Lai Gu hurriedly chased after Qian Yuqing. Zhu Tian, who was standing on top of Lai Gu's head, had a complicated look in his eyes. Qian Yuqing stopped her footsteps and asked curiously, "What's wrong?" "You can't go." Lai Gu opened up his arms. "Why?" Qian Yuqing slightly frowned and asked. Because... Lai Gu didn't know what to say. However, Zhu Tian said gravely, "Because his honor doesn't want to see you, and he told us to stop you. Go back." The joy on Qian Yuqing's beautiful face gradually disappeared, and what replaced it was graveness. "Yihua said that." Lai Gu nodded his head. "Then let him talk to me." Qian Yuqing's tone gradually became agitated. She felt just like a woman who was abandoned by a man, and her tone carried a bit of hidden bitterness. It was normal for Qian Yuqing to have such a reaction. After all, she had liked Yihua since she was young, and she had liked him for thousands of years. Right now, telling her that the man who had pledged his undying love to her in the past wanted to chase her away, and if she still didn't get angry, then she would really be a saintess. Zhu Tian explained, "This former wife, please be a bit more rational. Don't be impulsive. Move aside." Right now, Qian Yuqing was no longer able to maintain her calm. "Right now, I just want to see Hua and ask him face to face. Do you still want Yuqing or not? Are the words that you said in the past still counted?" Lai Gu stood there without moving. His meaning was a bit obvious. He is not letting you go. End of this chapter. Chapter 966. The people who were standing in the surroundings also noticed the abnormality. Everyone naturally knew about Lai Gu. After all, he was a man who loitered around the city wall every day. However, he actually got into a dispute with this woman. Just what is going on? Furthermore, from the looks of it, Lai Gu seems to be in a very difficult position. On the other hand, that woman had the upper hand. "How strange," Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. "Then try and touch me." Qian Yuqing was not an ordinary woman. Back then, not only was she the most beautiful woman in Spirit City, her talent was also not inferior to Yihua's. It was just that she did not display it. If she were to display it, she would not be inferior to Yihua. However, ever since Yihua went missing, Qian Yuqing had stopped cultivating. Even so, she was still an overlord. After finished speaking, Qian Yuqing left. Lai Gu didn't expect that this former madam would be so unyielding, but he was also afraid of bumping into this former madam. After all, this former madam is his honor's woman, and I mustn't touch her. Qian Yuqing walked forward, while Lai Gu retreated. Qian Yuqing's expression was very strange, as if he had eaten a fly. "Ex-madam, please calm down. I'm not the ex-wife." Qian Yuqing shouted out. "When did I become an ex-madam? If I want to become an ex-madam, Yihua has to come out and say it himself." When the surrounding people heard this conversation, their gossipy hearts were ignited, and they all eavesdropped on them. This could be the secret history of the emperor. Love debts? It was very possible. Absolute Heaven hurriedly called Luo Ho over, taking control of the situation. Soon, groups of yellow-armored warriors began to lock down the area. However, the news of his honor's ex-girlfriend coming to stir up trouble was immediately known by all of his honor subordinates, and all of them were shocked. His honor's ex-girlfriend. Oh my God, let's hurry up and see who this deity is. Former madam, please don't leave anymore. If not, I won't be polite anymore. Lai Gu began to threaten. This former madam seems to have the intention of slaughtering her way into the imperial palace. Qian Yuqing ignored him and said in a low voice, "You can try." Damn, his honor's ex-wife is so fierce. Lai Gu was just saying it with his mouth. And of course, he didn't dare to use his full strength. If he were to break the crystal, what would he do if his honor were to blame him? Very quickly, Qian Yuqing arrived at the entrance of the imperial palace. Looking at the majestic imperial palace, Qian Yuqing knew that Yi Hua was inside. But now, he wasn't even willing to come out and see her. Yi Hua, you weren't this cruel in the past. Lai Gu suddenly discovered that there seems to be a bit more guards standing at the entrance of the imperial palace. Damn, isn't that black-armored warrior Wei Chong? And that green and red brothers, and that husky, are you serious about wearing that black armor? Since when did a dog wear black armor? Even his 3 Ys have run out. You guys really don't want things to get out of hand. However, when his honor subordinates saw Qian Yuqing, their gazes revealed a look of amazement. Even those women were the same as well. This appearance, as expected of his honor's ex-girlfriend, Qian Yuqing could be said to be well-deserved. But his ex-girlfriend's expression didn't seem right. She was obviously here to cause trouble. Would the 2 madams be able to subdue them? Former madam, you really cannot leave anymore, Lai Gu said gravely. Qian Yuqing looked at the exquisite palace and said slowly, I want to see him. In the past, Qian Yuqing would always call Yi Hua as Yi Hua, but right now, Qian Yuqing directly called Yi Hua as Yi Hua. It could be seen how angry he was. Lai Gu quickly asked his honor, Your honor, your ex-girlfriend has already arrived at the entrance of the imperial palace. What should we do? It seems like she's going to make a move on us. Make a move? Yi Hua asked puzzledly. Is this woman so fierce? Yes, your honor, Yi Hua said gravely. Just chase her away. Lai Gu understood. His honor won't let her get injured, but I still have to chase her away. This is troublesome. How can I chase her away without getting injured? Should I just tie her up and bring her back? Qian Yuqing seemed to know that Lai Gu was transmitting his voice to Yi Hua and asked, What did your boss say? You better go back, Lai Gu said in a low voice. When Qian Yuqing heard what Lai Gu said, she found it hard to believe. I didn't expect that Yi Hua would still be so ruthless. No wonder little Tian said that Yi Hua had changed. But I'm really angry. So angry. Why can't you let me see you? Can't you even talk to me? Don't you know that your mother can't hold on anymore? Don't you know? Do I have to marry a person that I don't like just for your mother? Could it be that you don't care about all of these? Qian Yuqing, who was getting angrier the more she thought about it, began emitting out a strong dookie. The white muslin clothes on her body fluttered even though there was no wind, and her pretty face was terrifyingly gloomy. Boom! The aura of an overlord was emitted out, and a white dookie rushed into the sky from Qian Yuqing's body. Everyone in Wushu Empire was able to see it. Even Yi Hua, who was sitting in the imperial palace, was able to see it. Qingya and Dongwang Baiji were a bit absent-minded. This woman seems to be very crazy. At this moment, Qingya said in a low voice, Yi Hua, let's go and take a look. Yi Hua closed his eyes and did not say anything. Qingya and Dongwang Baiji didn't dare to persuade Yi Hua anymore. Right now, Yi Hua was already on the verge of getting angry. However, at the entrance of the imperial palace, the subordinates didn't dare to believe what they were seeing. This ex-girlfriend of his honor really likes to fight whenever she doesn't get along with him. However, if any woman were to encounter such a thing, they would have such a reaction. If the other party didn't have such a reaction, then it wouldn't be true love. After the white dookie disappeared, the white muslin clothes on Qian Yuqing's body could be seen to have disappeared, and what replaced it was actually a set of silver armor. Furthermore, it was the kind that was wearing a helmet. Only her pitch-black hair was left floating in the air, and she looked very fierce. The armor was emitting out a faint silver radiance, and the subordinates felt that the armor was an ancient artifact. Furthermore, the armor was not an ordinary ancient artifact. After all, Qian Yuqing was the pearl of Qian family. What kind of good things could she not have? It could be said that the degree of awesomeness of this Danxiao armor was not inferior to that set of armor that Yi Zizi was wearing. One must know that all of Yi Hua's equipment were stolen from others, and there were good and bad ones. Furthermore, the imperial killer that Qian Yuqing was holding in her hand was not an ordinary ancient artifact. It was a machete. Indeed, The machete looked like a machete. Being held in Qian Yuqing's hand, the machete did not seem to fit her temperament. However, this imperial killer was not an ancient artifact with an undeserved reputation. From its name alone, it could be seen that this machete was even capable of killing an emperor. Doesn't this mean that Qian Yuqing is prepared to kill an emperor? Could it be that she's going to perish together with Yi Hua, this heartless man? At the very least, from the subordinate's point of view, his honor's ex-girlfriend was starting to get serious. Wei Chong hurriedly protected the surroundings. If Ji Zun were to fight with his honor, I reckon that the entire Wushu Empire would have to pay their respects to her. Move aside, Qian Yuqing, who was fully armed, shouted out. The loud sound caused cracks to appear on the ground, and the cracks spread all the way to the walls. The cracks were just like Qian Yuqing's heart. Chapter 967. Right now, Lai Gu's eyes shone. I definitely cannot afford to offend his honor's former wife. But who asked them to wear black armored warriors' clothes? Therefore, Lai Gu shouted out angrily, Men, stop her for me. Lai Gu was also proud of himself. I didn't expect that there would be a day where I would be so smart. However, after waiting for a long time, Lai Gu still did not see anyone coming out. When he turned around, he found that those people were actually standing there without moving. He was so angry that he almost fainted. Were they just watching the show and not doing anything? Wei Chong wouldn't interfere. If he didn't do a good job, he would be scolded. Absolute Heaven, who was on top of the cracked bone, jumped away as well. He hid far away and watched from afar, not wanting to participate in the battle. Who knows if his honor was just saying those words out of anger or not? If we were to reconcile with each other in the future, if his honor continues to pursue the matter, I will definitely be scolded by his honor again. Right now, Lai Gu actually wanted to cry. Why am I always the one who gets injured? Last time, I indeed wanted to act cool, but this time it's not like that. It's her who suddenly appeared in front of me. If I had known earlier, I would have pretended not to see it. Do you want me to fight with my ex-wife now? I will say it one more time, move aside. Qian Yuqing raised the Emperor Killer in her hand and pointed it at Lai Gu. Lai Gu took a deep breath and took a defensive stance. Sorry, as subordinates, we have no choice. 2 streams of tears flowed down from Qian Yuqing's eyes as she shouted, Yi Hua, why are you so cruel to me? Boom! The Imperial Slayer released an enormous pressure. The blade shone with a golden light as Qian Yuqing, who had already gone berserk, stomped on the ground. A huge crater immediately appeared on the ground as Emperor Killer slashed towards Lai Gu. Before the blade even arrived, Lai Gu could already feel a sense of crisis. My former wife is really very strong. Even without his honor's help, she was still able to reach such a level of strength. I truly admire her. However, I, Lai Gu, am not someone to be trifled with. When I get angry, I won't even recognize my own family. Please don't look down on me, Lai Gu. I know how to crack bones too. The man who ran. Lai Gu could be seen turning around and running towards that group of shameless black armored warriors. Wei Chong and the others were all shouting at how shameless Lai Gu was. It was clearly you who had caused this trouble, and yet you were actually not caring about it anymore. Boom! The entire ground had collapsed. Fortunately, Wei Chong had sealed off this area. Otherwise, this blade would have affected the entire Voidless Empire. Even so, the entire Voidless Empire still trembled slightly. After all, the equipment on Qian Yuqing's body was no joke. Yi Hua looked at the teacup on the table. The teacup was currently moving slightly, and the water within the teacup was also trembling. At the very least, that was what Yi Hua thought. However, I, the Supreme Overlord, am not a man that you can meet whenever you want to. Qinya and Dongwang Baiji were no longer able to sit still. Not caring whether Yi Hua agreed or not, they immediately disappeared from the scene. Yi Hua did not stop the 2 women, and once again, he picked up the teacup and took a sip. Qian Yuqing stood where she was. Her aura didn't drop. Instead, it continued to rise as if she was using a cheat. This caused all of his honor's subordinates to be astonished. His honor's ex-girlfriend is not an ordinary person. With this kind of strength, I'm afraid that her strength is already comparable to that of the 7 deadly sins. I'll say it again. Out of the way. Qian Yuqing pointed at her subordinates and shouted angrily. Originally, I thought that Yihua would be very happy to know that I am here, and I will also properly help Yihua recover his memories. As for your current wife, that is something that happened after she lost her memories. She can forgive you, and I won't blame you. However, that was not the case at all. At this time, Wei Chong had no choice but to stand up. He cupped his hands and said, "Former madam, please calm down. I can't breathe." Qian Yuqing suddenly raised Emperor Killer up high. The dark clouds in the sky above Wushu Empire gradually dispersed, and sunlight shone down. However, this sunlight didn't shine on the ground. Instead, it shone on the Imperial Slayer in Qian Yuqing's hand. Since he would rather hide inside, then don't blame me, Qian Yuqing shouted in a deep voice. The murderous emperor in her hand had already ignited with a golden flame. The brightness made people's eyes very uncomfortable. Sealing God, extinguishing sun. Following Qian Yuqing's whisper, the Emperor Slayer in her hand turned into a 10,000 zhang long machete. F***CK. Not to mention becoming a god. Even a god would be scared **less. At the very least, this was the first time his subordinates had seen a primeval divine artifact grow to such a huge size. If this saber fell, the entire imperial palace would be destroyed. Wei Chong even sensed that when the regicide grew in size, it had pierced through the barrier he had set up. It had indeed been pierced. Everyone from Wushu Empire saw the 10,000 zhang long machete, and all of them became stupefied. The blade of the machete had even pierced through the clouds. Even Yihua saw it, and with a slightly shocked expression on his face, he thought to himself, "This woman is truly formidable. However, she actually wants to kill me. She's truly thinking too much." Just as Qian Yuqing was about to descend the machete, Qinya and Dongwang Baiji suddenly appeared at the scene. This caused Qian Yuqing's machete to stop. However, the machete had also descended in an arc, and this caused the sky to gradually turn red. It was as if the sky was being burned by fire. When the subordinates saw that the 2 madams had arrived, they hurriedly knelt down and shouted out, "Subordinates, greet the 2 madams." Qian Yuqing looked at Qinya and Dongwang Baiji blankly. Are they Yihua's wives? These 2 women are so beautiful. No wonder Yihua doesn't want me anymore. It turns out that he found such beautiful women. Yihua, why are you treating Yuqing like this? For you, Yuqing is willing to give up everything, but why are you not even talking to Yuqing? Even now, you're still hiding at the back and not coming out. Qinya and Dongwang Baiji looked at Qian Yuqing. Because Qian Yuqing was wearing a helmet, they were unable to see her appearance. You all can retreat first, Qinya said faintly. Wei Chong, Lai Gu, and the others let out a sigh of relief. It is best for this matter to be taken over by your wife. Subordinate obeys. Lai Gu immediately ran away. In the future, I will not stand out anymore. Do Fusher felt that it was still all right, but his big brother Lai Gu has recently become fond of standing out. After the subordinates left, only the 3 women remained at the scene. Yihua is very confused right now, Qinya said lightly. Hearing what Qinya said, the anger in Qian Yuqing's heart lessened by a lot. However, Qian Yuqing was still holding the Emperor Killer in her hand. Give him some time, he will think it through, Dongwang Baiji said. This woman is actually very pitiful. Dongwang Baiji experienced this kind of feeling. Back then, Yihua also treated me like this. Back then, when I came to look for Yihua while pregnant with a child, Yihua avoided me. Just how much pain did that make me feel? And this woman in front of me is also the same. Yihua is still hiding in the palace and not coming out. He is very heartless. Seeing that Qian Yuqing still hasn't let go of Emperor Killer, Dongwang Baiji said lightly, I understand your feelings very well. You don't understand, Qian Yuqing shouted out. Dongwang Baiji shook her head. Back then, I was the same as you. I was also treated like this by Yihua. Back then, I was even pregnant with child. Hearing what Dongwang Baiji said, Qian Yuqing went into a daze for a moment, and her aura became chaotic. Qingya, who was at the side, didn't interrupt. This woman's experience is indeed quite similar to Dongwang Baiji's. Chapter 968. You two have a child. Qian Yuqing's tone was filled with desolation. Qingya and Dongwang Baiji did not deny it and nodded their heads. Qian Yuqing immediately felt a sense of powerlessness and took a step back. Don't look at how it was just a small step. She immediately received a backlash. Puffed. Blood could be seen flowing out from the gap of the helmet, and Qian Yuqing's aura became extremely weak. The towering, murderous emperor returned to its original size. Qian Yuqing felt that her brain was buzzing. Yi Hua and I have a child. Thinking about it, isn't it normal for them to have a child after 1,000 years have passed? But, Yi Hua, you treat them so well. Why are you so heartless to me? Puffed. Qian Yuqing, who was angered, spat out another mouthful of blood, and the armor and imperial killer that she was wearing disappeared. Qingya and Dongwang Baiji saw Qian Yuqing's original appearance. Yihua's eyesight is always so high, but right now, this beautiful woman's face was filled with desolation. She looked very pitiful, as if she was abandoned by Yihua. Qingya had always been doted on by Yihua, so she did not experience that kind of feeling. However, Dongwang Baiji was able to experience that kind of feeling. For our words to be able to give her such a huge blow, it could be seen how important Yi Hua was in her heart. Dongwang Baiji felt that she was already very angry when she waited for Yi Hua for 3 years. But this woman actually waited for Yi Hua for 1,000 years. Just how much willpower does that require? Not every woman can be like her. Although the subordinates left, they were still peeking at the side. They realized that his honor's ex-girlfriend was indeed pitiful. Look at that pitiful look. Her originally beautiful face became pale and powerless, and blood flowed out from her lips. His honor is too ruthless, isn't he? No matter what, she is still his ex-girlfriend. It is only a big matter for him to come out and take a look. Qingya said softly, "Go and treat your injuries first." "No need, call Yihua out." Qian Yuqing slightly bent her body. Her entire body was in pain. Dongwang Baiji said softly, "Yihua still hasn't made up his mind. How about going and taking a rest first? I will wait here for him to think it through." Qian Yuqing raised her head slightly and looked at the palace. There was no joy in her eyes. She was a little disheartened. Dongwang Baiji consoled Dongwang Baiji. There are indeed some areas where Yi Hua did not do well. I have also said it just now. When I went to look for Yi Hua while pregnant with the child, he did not even take a single look at me, causing me to return home disheartened. During those few years, I had been raising the child by myself, and Yi Hua had never cared about us. That's right. Give Yi Hua some time. This matter is too sudden for Yi Hua. Qingya felt that Qian Yuqing's current state was not very good, just like a person who should have fainted, but was forcefully holding on to that belief. Qian Yuqing didn't say anything. She stood in place and slowly straightened her back. The blood at the corner of her mouth flowed onto her pure white dress. It was very eye-catching. No one expected this woman to be so stubborn. He was a little worried. After all, he had just suffered a backlash and needed time to recuperate. Otherwise, it would be detrimental to his future cultivation. Wait a moment then, Qingya said lightly. Qingya decided to go and persuade Yihua again. Will it kill you to meet someone else? Dongwang Baiji felt the same way as well. Both of them are women with bitter lives, and Yihua should at least give them an explanation. Qingya and Dongwang Baiji disappeared from where they were once again. However, the yellow-armored warriors sealed off all of the surrounding streets. After all, this was his honor's family matter, and no one else could know about it. Yihua was still drinking tea, just that there were a lot more cigarette butts by his feet. Very quickly, Qingya and Dongwang Baiji's figures appeared. Without waiting for the two women to speak, Yihua said faintly, "What are we going to eat tonight?" Asked the blood demon to make a braised eggplant pot. I felt that it was pretty good the last time I ate it. Yihua, don't talk about what we were going to eat first. Do you really not want to go and take a look that much? Qingya asked in a low voice. This was not Yihua's style. Yihua said faintly, Didn't the two of you go and take a look for me? I've already said what happened in the past very clearly. I don't want to repeat it again. Daji, let's go and eat. Yihua stood up and said faintly. Daji said respectfully, all right, master. Looking at Yihua's determined back view, Qinya and Dongwang Baiji felt a little sad. Although I don't want others to interfere in my marriage, Yihua is too ruthless towards that woman. No matter what, taking a look at her isn't a big deal. Dongwang Baiji recalled what happened in the past, and even now, she is still a little jealous. Yihua is too ruthless towards me. Qinya is still the best. I'm doted on from the beginning to the end. However, what should I do now? That person is still standing at the entrance of the palace, waiting for me. Am I supposed to continue waiting like this? After all, Wushu Empire's weather isn't very good, and it is a bit cold. Qian Yuqing had just suffered from a backlash, and her body was wearing very thin clothes. Without the protection of Duki, she would definitely be corroded. She would definitely be sick, but when the time comes, it would be even more troublesome for her to recover. What should I do? Dongwang Baiji couldn't make up her mind. I will go and take some medicine and send it over first. Don't let anything happen, Qingyu said gravely. I will go and persuade Yihua again. All right. Qingyu took the medicine and went out, but Qian Yuqing didn't need it at all. She just stood there and looked at the entrance of the palace. However, she also wanted Qingyu to pass on a message to Yihua. She, Qian Yuqing, will be Yihua's woman in this life. And if Yihua doesn't want her anymore, then let her directly fall in her next life. Her meaning was very clear. Since Yihua doesn't want her anymore, then I will kill him. If that's the case, I, Qian Yuqing, will not have a single trace of hope, and I will treat everything that happened in the past as a dream. Qingyu felt that this matter was a bit thorny. One must know that Yihua hates being threatened the most, and this will only deepen the conflict between them. Qingyu didn't dare to tell Yihua what she said, because she was afraid that Yihua would really kill her. Late at night, the temperature of Wushu Empire dropped, and the cold wind howled outside. At the entrance of the palace, a lonely and destitute figure stood at the entrance of the palace. That slim figure seemed so weak and frail. Yihua's subordinates couldn't bear to watch this anymore, especially the women. They felt that his honor was too ruthless this time. We have to do something, Sun Fong said in a low voice. Tang Wei, Zishan, and Li Han could be seen standing beside Yihua. Hearing what Sun Fong said, the other three women let out a light sigh. Isn't it all up to his honor to decide what to do? How about we go and beg his honor? Tang Wei suggested. Zishan shook her head. It was useless even when your wife begged for leniency. Do you think that it would be useful for us to beg for leniency? At this moment, Li Han's expression became grave. His honor doesn't like this kind of threat. It is better for us to think of other ways. I feel that his honor's ex-girlfriend won't be able to hold on for more than a few days. She is getting weaker and weaker. Zishan said gravely. Qian Yuqing indeed wouldn't be able to hold on for more than a few days, and it was already a miracle that she was still able to stand after suffering such a backlash. Chapter 969. But right now, it was no different from burning her lifespan. But to Qian Yuqing, she had to hear Yihua's explanation. If she couldn't hear it, she would rather die here. Just like what she said to Yihua, if Qian Yuqing were to die one day, she wanted to die in his arms. Even if she died, it would be a very comfortable thing. Qian Yuqing could still remember what Yihua said. I won't allow you to die. Right now, Yihua was enjoying a sumptuous dinner. Blood Demon's culinary skills were top-notch. Right now, Yihua felt that in the entire team, Blood Demon's contribution was rather admirable. At the very least, he took good care of my taste buds. Daji stood at the side and served Yihua. Qinya and Dongwang Baiji were eating carelessly, and worry could be seen on their faces. Yihua acted as if nothing had happened and continued eating. Right now, Dongwang Baiji couldn't take it anymore and asked, Yihua, do you remember that time when I went to look for you? You avoided me? I remember. Yihua said faintly. Then, do you know how I felt back then? Dongwang Baiji asked back. Yihua said faintly while eating potato shreds. Isn't that all in the past? Our current life is quite good. But Qian Yuqing has been waiting for you for a long time, too. Bang! Yihua's expression turned cold. He slammed the table, and the table instantly shattered into pieces. Daji, who was standing behind Yihua, was startled. Master's temper is way too big, right? This is the first time I saw Master get so angry. Not only Daji, even Qinya and Dongwang Baiji felt the same. In the past, when Yihua got angry, he would at most just talk to them and then ignore them. After a few days, he would come back to coax them. But today, he actually smashed the table into pieces. Qinya and Dongwang Baiji were truly frightened and sat on the chair blankly. The atmosphere became heavy. Yihua stood up and said coldly, "Don't mention the past and the future. The two of you better remember this clearly." After finished speaking, Yihua walked out. Daji looked at the two madams, and her eyes turned red. However, she had no choice but to quickly chase after Yihua. How could Qinya and Dongwang Baiji not feel wronged? We were clearly thinking for you wholeheartedly, but in the end, you didn't appreciate it and even scared us. We are your wives, not your punching bags. Yihua didn't return to his bedroom, and instead, he went to Wei Chang's palace. Your Honor, when Wei Chang saw that his honor had come up with a black face, he knew that things weren't going as he wished, and hurriedly kneeled down and kowtowed. It was the same for Tang Wei. Drink some, Yihua said faintly, then walked to the pavilion at the side. Wei Chang looked at Tang Wei and said in a low voice, "Go get some wine and stir-fry a few side dishes. Please don't beg for mercy." "And I know," Tang Wei said cautiously and hurriedly went to prepare. Wei Chang walked into the pavilion with his body bent and stood beside Yihua without saying a word. "Take a seat." "Thank you, Your Honor," Wei Chang said respectfully as he sat on the left side of Yihua. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then slowly puffed out the smoke. "Wei Chang, how long have we known each other?" Yihua asked indifferently. Wei Chang went into a daze for a moment, then said in a low voice, "Your Honor, we have known each other for 1,011 years. That's right. It has already been more than 1,000 years. Time sure passes quickly. Do you remember how we got to know each other back then?" Yihua sighed and said slowly, "How could Wei Chang possibly forget about that?" He replied, "Back then, I was massacring my own clansmen, and it was your honor who appeared and defeated me. Do you know why I wanted to beat you up? Subordinate does not know, because I like your vicious methods." Yihua said coldly, and a vicious aura was emitting out from his entire body. Wei Chang didn't say anything and chose to listen quietly. At this moment, Tang Wei walked over with the wine and said respectfully, "Your Honor, I will go and stir-fry a few side dishes." "No need, bring some peanuts over," Yihua said indifferently. "Yes." Very quickly, Tang Wei brought some peanuts over. "Daji, you go and rest." Daji, who was standing at the side, went into a daze for a moment, then responded and left. Only Yihua and Wei Chang were left at the scene. Yihua poured a cup of wine for himself, then picked up the wine pot and poured a cup of wine for Wei Chang. Wei Chang held onto the wine cup with both of his hands in fear. "For his honor to personally pour wine for me. This is a great honor." Yihua raised the wine cup, and Wei Chang lightly clinked the wine cup with both of his hands. Yihua gulped down the wine cup, and Wei Chang did the same as well. "Do you like your previous life or your current life?" Yihua looked at the full moon in the sky. "The moon is very bright, yet I feel a little confused. I'm even starting to doubt if what I've done all these years is right or wrong, and if I've been too benevolent toward my enemies. I feel that I don't even care about my hatred anymore. I have always been playing around, and I have never treated my life seriously. I'm even playing around with my empire." Wei Chang slightly wrinkled his brows. "His honor is asking me a question again. I have to answer carefully. It is fortunate that I drew the main points back then. I knew that it would be a test. Your Honor, my previous life has the taste of my previous life, and my current life has the happiness of my current life. If subordinate was to choose, the life in my previous life was for the sake of massacring, and the life in my current life is for the sake of love." "Love," Yihua murmured. Wei Chang nodded his head, In the past, we didn't understand why those people would sacrifice themselves for each other. Back then, we all felt that those people were all idiots, but only after understanding them would we know that those people are willing to sacrifice themselves for each other. This is a kind of feeling that we are unable to obtain, but right now, we all have this kind of feeling. After hearing that, Yihua laughed lightly. Perhaps I shouldn't have let you all experience it, and I don't need to experience it either. Sometimes, love can be a burden and also a weakness. However, if there is no love in life, life would be incomplete. Wei Chang said lightly. Yihua extinguished the cigarette, but then lit up another cigarette. Wei Chang, when you kill your own kind, how do you feel? Is your honor talking about the feeling back then, or the feeling right now? Tell me about both. Back then, I didn't feel anything, but right now I feel a bit uncomfortable in my heart. Wei Chang said lightly. The reason why he killed his own kind was actually very simple. Wei Chang wanted to become unique. What do you think about kinship? Wei Chang's heart sunk. This should be the most crucial question tonight. Wei Chang didn't dare to be careless. Whether or not I am able to persuade his honor will depend on me. Humans often say that among all virtues, filial piety is the most important. From this, it can be seen how much humans value kinship. From the past, when we kill the young, the old would come, and when we kill the old, an even older one would come. Even though we know that we're sending ourselves to death, we still came. This is kinship, right? How could Yuhua not remember? It wasn't like something like this hadn't happened before back then. He could still remember it, even now. Wei Chang, what do you think I should do now? Yihua, who was at a loss, asked lightly. Chapter 970. Wei Chang immediately bowed down and said fearfully, Your Honor, subordinate doesn't dare to teach Your Honor what to do, but Your Honor can do something based on your own inner heart. Inner heart? If I knew, I wouldn't have come here. Yihua laughed lightly, but more of it seemed like he was laughing at himself. Wei Chang's eyes suddenly lit up. Your Honor, subordinate has an idea that can solve Your Honor's problem. Say it. All right. Subordinate hopes that Your Honor can answer me immediately. Wei Chang said respectfully. All right, I promise you. Wei Chang paused for a moment, then asked, Does Your Honor love Your Honor's wife? Yes. Yihua said without stopping. Does Your Honor love young Honor and the others? Wei Chang's tone gradually became faster. Yes. Does Your Honor want to take revenge? Yes. Does Your Honor want to go and see your family? Yes. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. Wei Chang looked at his honor and discovered that his honor's expression had become distorted. The cigarette that was on the tip of Wei Chang's finger broke. Subordinate knows his mistake. Wei Chang hurriedly bowed down and admitted his mistake. Yihua slowly closed his eyes, stood up, and walked out of the pavilion without saying anything. Wei Chang looked at his honor's back view. This is the first time I saw his honor being so confused, losing his own opinion, losing courage at this moment. Tang Wei quickly ran over and helped Wei Chang up. Uncle Wei, how is it? Tang Wei asked worriedly. Wei Chang shook his head. I don't know. Tang Wei lightly bit onto her lips. After walking out of Wei Chang's palace, Yihua walked into the palace. I actually wanted to go, but why did I want to go? To find out the truth of the matter? Or to see what his birth mother looks like? Are all these important? Are all these very important to me? Yihua's heart returned to normal. Very important. Unknowingly, Yihua arrived at the entrance of the palace. The two huge doors were closed. The black armored warrior who was standing guard inside immediately bowed down and cowed out. Yihua stood behind the door, and the huge door in front of him became blurry and soon became transparent. Qian Yuqing's figure appeared in front of Yihua. When Yihua saw the stubborn expression on this woman's face, Yihua's gaze became heavy. She was indeed very beautiful, but right now, her beauty had a sickly look to it, and there was still a trace of bloodstain at the corner of her mouth. She looked at the palace with a glimmer of hope, as if she was looking forward to something. Suddenly, Yihua noticed that the other party's gaze was gradually moving downwards. They were separated by two giant doors, but their eyes met. This glance caused Yihua's heart to skip a beat, and Yihua moved his gaze away reflexively. Such an action caused Yihua to be a bit puzzled. Why would I have such a thought? Guilt. How could I, the Supreme Overlord, possibly have feelings of guilt? Why should I feel guilty towards the things that I, the Supreme Overlord, have done? At this moment, goose feather-like snowflakes suddenly floated down from the sky. Qian Yuqing looked at the two giant doors. In that instant, a familiar feeling surged into her heart. Yihua, is that you? Qian Yuqing asked with a trembling voice. However, her voice was so weak that only she could hear it. However, to Yihua, how could he not hear it? This voice indeed gave me a familiar feeling, as if it was guiding me to find the way back home. Yihua didn't say anything and looked at Qian Yuqing, who was outside. Qian Yuqing took a step forward, and blood immediately flowed out from the corner of her mouth. Her body suddenly fell onto the ground. Seeing that Qian Yuqing fell onto the ground, Yihua's finger trembled a bit. It seemed like he wanted to help this woman up, but in the end, he didn't do so. It would have been fine if Qian Yuqing didn't move, but that move just now had instantly caused the injuries within her body to become chaotic. However, Qian Yuqing didn't care about all of that at all. Her beautiful eyes stared fixedly at the closed palace door. Yihua is right behind me. She might be able to sense it. In the end, Yihua still came to see me. Yihua didn't abandon me. Right now, the snowflakes were slowly falling onto the ground. When the snowflakes fell onto Qian Yuqing's body, a layer of white frost quickly appeared on Qian Yuqing's beautiful black hair. However, from Qian Yuqing's position to the palace door, it was only around 20 meters away. However, to the current Qian Yuqing, every single movement was extremely painful. Blood flowed out from her mouth unceasingly, and it was only 10 meters away. Even after suffering such pain, Qian Yuqing didn't give up. Her beautiful eyes were filled with unswerving determination. His elbows were moving slightly as he dragged his injured body. Yihua stood behind the palace door and looked at Qian Yuqing crawling slowly and the blood that flowed out from the corner of her mouth. All of this seemed so ghastly. Yihua's chest began to undulate up and down, and his breathing became hurried. The sparkling and translucent snowflakes covered the long blood stain, and Qian Yuqing finally touched the palace door. Because she used too much strength, the skin on her slender fingers was broken, revealing her tender flesh. Just like that, her hand lightly touched the palace door. After that, she used all of her strength to support her exhausted body up and leaned against the palace door. Her breathing was very hurried. Yihua, who was standing behind the palace door, lowered his head and looked at Qian Yuqing. Why is she so persistent? Doesn't she know that she will die like this? Could it be that she just wants to see me? Is it worth it? Yihua, Qian Yuqing called out lightly. Her tone revealed a trace of death. To her, crawling just now was a second injury. All of her subordinates originally guessed that she wouldn't be able to last more than a few days, but now she might not even need a few days. Being able to feel your existence, Yuqing is already very happy. Qian Yuqing leaned against the cold palace door and said lightly. Her pair of beautiful eyes seemed like they couldn't open anymore. Yuqing knew that you wouldn't die just like that. You must be in some corner. Today, Yuqing finally found you. But you don't remember Yuqing anymore. Yuqing is very sad, really very sad. But Yihua, you still came to see Yuqing. You are still the same as before, with a sharp mouth but a soft heart. Do you think that I don't know that you are hiding behind the door? You idiot! Did you forget that you always made Yuqing angry in the past? You even made Yuqing cry a few times, but Yuqing knew that you always stood behind the door and didn't dare to come in. Yihua listened silently. It seemed like he was trying hard to remember, but he couldn't remember. Today, Yuqing's tears are happy. Knowing that you, Yihua, didn't die means that Yuqing didn't waste her efforts all these years. Everything is worth it. Yihua, in the future, Yuqing won't be able to take care of Mother anymore. Little Tian is being pushed aside everywhere. As the big brother, Yuqing still hopes that you can go back and take a look and fulfill Mother's wish. Qian Yuqing's tender and beautiful lips gradually turned pale, and her eyes suddenly brightened up. She raised her head and looked at the snow that filled the sky. Yihua, it's snowing here. It's so beautiful, but it's so cold. Yuqing is so cold, so cold. Qian Yuqing's beautiful eyes that were originally bright gradually dimmed down. The snow that filled the sky landed on Qian Yuqing's body. Yihua, do you still remember what Yuqing said before? Even if I die, I want to die in your embrace. That way, it should be very comfortable, very warm. After Qian Yuqing finished speaking, a trace of an arc appeared on the corner of her mouth, and she felt as if she was being hugged by Yihua. Chapter 9, 71. I haven't felt this kind of feeling for 1,000 years, this kind of hug. I've only felt it once. Furthermore, on the day of their wedding, Yihua suddenly needed to go out to battle. When he was about to leave, he hugged me tightly and said that he would come back. Although it was only for a short few seconds, I have never forgotten this feeling in my entire life. It was this feeling. I felt as if my body and mind were being illuminated by the warm sunlight. Qian Yuqing's beautiful eyes, which were originally closed, opened a little. A familiar profile appeared in front of her. Qian Yuqing's beautiful eyes were filled with doubt, but it was soon replaced by surprise. Yihua appeared in front of me, and he even hugged me. He was the same as before. There was no difference. The only difference was that her hairstyle had changed. She didn't look as good as before. However, it didn't matter. Yihua was still the same as before, and his gaze was still so cold and indifferent. Qian Yuqing wanted to say something, but she was unable to say anything. She could only use her pair of eyes to tell Yihua how much she missed him, how much she worried about him, and how much she loved him. This happiness came too quickly. Qian Yuqing howled and laughed, as if she was a child. Perhaps it was because Qian Yuqing was too tired. She fell asleep in Yihua's embrace, just like that. Although she fell asleep, her hands were tightly grabbing onto Yihua's clothes, fearing that Yihua would leave again. Qian Yuqing, who was in a daze, suddenly felt a gust of cold wind and shivered. Feeling the coldness on her body, Qian Yuqing seemed to have thought of something, opened her beautiful eyes and shouted, "Yihua!" However, everything in front of him changed. He was still standing in the same place, with the palace gates tightly shut. Qian Yuqing became confused. Could it be that it was all a dream? How is that possible? How can there be such a realistic dream? Yihua. Qian Yuqing lowered her head slightly to look at her fingers. Her lips gradually curled into a smile. Then, she raised her head to look at the palace. Yihua was still the same as before, wanting to save face no matter what. Right now, Yihua was walking in the imperial palace, allowing the snowflakes to land on his shoulders. However, if one were to observe carefully, one would be able to see that a large patch of Yihua's chest was wet. This doesn't seem to be wet from the snowflakes, and it seems more like tears. Yihua gradually walked to Qing Yutong's palace. Pushing open the door, Yihua took off the imperial gown, then lied on the bed and closed his eyes. Yihua looked like he was sleeping, but in actuality, he was thinking about a problem. Did he really have to go back? When faced with things that had nothing to do with him in the past, wouldn't that be more trouble? Should he go back or not? Yihua probably wouldn't be able to think of an answer to this question. Even if I know that I want to go back to Heaven's burial ground, I still lack a reason right now. However, his subordinates had a strange expression on their faces. At this time, Zishan said lightly, "In actuality, his honor is still quite kind." Wei Chong, Lai Gu, and Zhu Tian immediately looked towards Zishan with slanted eyes. "You actually said that his honor is kind? That is because you didn't see that when his honor isn't kind, when his honor is simply exterminating the world." "Yeah, that Qian Yuqing is actually quite pitiful," Tang Wei also whispered. "However, in the end, his honor was still rather gentle," Li Hun said with a slight smile. "His honor isn't that cold-blooded after all," Lai Gu said in a low voice, "but in the end, I just couldn't understand it. Perhaps his honor is still hesitating in his heart. As long as his honor thinks things through, his honor will naturally be fine." Wei Chong took a deep breath. This time, his honor can be said to have gotten into big trouble. The subordinates also sighed lightly. They couldn't help with this kind of thing at all. After all, this is his honor's family matter, and it's not like the enemy is a powerful enemy. If the enemy is a powerful enemy, it would still be easy to deal with. I would be able to help his honor in a matter of minutes. As expected of that saying, every family has its own problems. At this moment, the door of the room was suddenly pushed open, and Qinya and Dongwang Baiji could be seen walking in. The subordinates hurriedly saluted. Subordinate pays respect to your wife. Everyone get up, Qinya said gravely. Thank you, your wife. Qinya and Dongwang Baiji also saw the scene from just now, and they also saw Yi Hua walking into Qin Yutong's room to sleep. However, after everything that happened tonight, how could Qinya and Dongwang Baiji be able to sleep? Wei Chong asked respectfully, May I know why your wife is coming so late at night? Dongwang Baiji said in a low voice, Wei Chong, Lai Gu, the two of you have been following Yi Hua for the longest time. Do you have any ideas? Wei Chong and Lai Gu took a look at each other. If there were any ideas, they would have used them long ago. Why would they have waited until now? However, since your wife asked about it, Wei Chong still had to say it. Replying to your esteemed wife, we cannot be too hasty with this matter. Wait until his honor thinks it through, then everything will be fine. What we need to do is to not disturb his honor. Wei Chong gave the most pertinent suggestion. Lai Gu cupped his hands and said, That's right. When his honor encounters difficulties, he likes to ponder on his own. As long as he thinks it through, it will be fine. Then, how long will it take for him to think it through? Qinya asked. Although Yi Hua lost his temper today, Qinya and Dongwang Baiji did not blame Yi Hua. After all, such a thing had happened. Yi Hua had his emotions too. How long will it take for him to think it through? This question made Wei Chong, Lai Gu, and the others feel troubled. Seeing that the two of them were not speaking, Qinya and Dongwang Baiji understood. From the looks of it, Yi Hua wouldn't be able to think it through in a short period of time. Everyone, rest early, Qinya said lightly, then left with Dongwang Baiji. The subordinates stood there for a while, then went back to their own homes. Qinya and Dongwang Baiji arrived outside of Qin Yutong's bedroom. Do you want to go in and accompany Yi Hua? Qinya asked puzzledly. Right now, I don't even dare to be sure if Yi Hua needs someone to accompany him or not. Dongwang Baiji pinched her fingers. It is better for us to not disturb Yi Hua. It is better for him to be alone. You're right. Qinya nodded her head. Right now, Yi Hua needs to properly think about it. If he doesn't go back, he will have to bear the reputation of being unfilial. However, to Yi Hua, he doesn't care about this reputation at all. After all, his reputation in the past was already very bad. However, if he were to go back, he would have to face his family and even some of his brothers. Furthermore, this would disrupt Yi Hua's original plan. After all, it was still not the time for Yi Hua to appear in God's realm, because the people in Kangluo continent had not been dealt with yet. The night gradually dispersed, and a new dawn arrived. Qian Yuqing was still standing outside of the palace, and the streets at the side were all sealed off. Not even a mosquito would be able to enter. However, this situation attracted the attention of the residents, and all of them were guessing what was going on, especially the anomaly that appeared last night, that 30,000-meter tall machete, that terrifying vibration. Just what exactly is going on? Everyone was gossiping about this matter in their spare time, and they felt that this matter is definitely related to that woman. What relationship does that woman have with the emperor? Right now, everyone was guessing. The emperor's younger brother is a god. Could it be that this woman who suddenly appeared is a god as well? Chapter 972. Who is she to the emperor? Elder sister or younger sister? Or wife? Or mother? But no matter what her identity is, there is always one thing that is correct, and that is a deity. This Wushu Empire is protected by a deity who would dare to come and cause trouble for them. This is what all of Wushu Empire citizens care about. They feel that their safety has received another layer of protection. They even feel that in the entire Kangluo continent, Wushu Empire is the most awesome, and the others are all trash. Within the imperial palace, Yihua sat in Qin Yutong's palace and enjoyed his breakfast. There was only a fruit jianbing, but it was also one of Yihua's favorite breakfasts. Every time I eat this fruit jianbing with egg and ham, I will think of that Ani, the only person who dares to talk back to me. To be more accurate, it should be said that I am teaching her a lesson, but I actually continued to listen to her. Could it be that I lack a lesson? Bullshit. I have always been the one teaching others how to do things. When did it become someone else's turn to teach me a lesson? Master, the fruit jianbing won't taste good when it gets cold. Daji, who was serving at the side, reminded. Yihua picked up the fruit jianbing on the plate and took a bite. I feel that today's fruit jianbing doesn't taste good at all. Yihua lightly placed the fruit jianbing on the table and asked faintly, "Are you still standing outside?" Replying to Master, "Yes." Yihua took in a deep breath, then stepped out of the room. Daji picked up the fruit jianbing on the table and took a bite at the place where Yihua had just bitten. Daji revealed out a satisfied smile. So fragrant to Daji, this was a type of satisfaction. Walking in his huge imperial palace, Yihua discovered that he had nowhere to go. He felt very bored no matter where he went. Should I go look for Qinya and Donghuang Baiji? I just scolded them yesterday, and I'm going to look for them today. This isn't my style. It's still Qian Yuqing who is standing at the entrance. Towards this woman, Yihua didn't know how to choose. Like her? How is that possible? Don't like her? Then why did I save her yesterday night? It must be the pity of this supreme lord that is causing mischief. As expected, I shouldn't have cultivated my humanity back then. Great. I have cultivated myself into an indecisive person. I am still overcautious when making a decision. 3 days passed by very quickly, and Yihua still did not go out to see Qian Yuqing. Qian Yuqing had been standing at the entrance of the palace the whole time. Her attitude was very clear. If you don't meet Yuqing face to face, don't even think about letting Yuqing go. Things were rather calm here, but something big had happened in Lingdu. Qian Yuqing's maid noticed that the young miss was missing. Qian clan was instantly shaken. Huang Yin soon received the news that his fiancée had actually gone missing. Instantly, he flew into a rage. Yi Juetian thought that his sister-in-law would be able to bring his big brother back within a day. But unexpectedly, it had been 3 days and sister-in-law still hadn't come back, and she had been discovered. Because of Imperial Cloud, the entire spirit capital was under martial law, and they began to interrogate and investigate the news. Yi Juetian was incomparably worried right now. If this matter were to be exposed, it would definitely not be a good thing. Moreover, Yi Juetian was sure that they would be looking for him very soon. Huang Yin definitely knew that he was close to sister-in-law. What should he do? Little Tian, are you outside? At this moment, Yi Juetian was standing in front of his mother's house. Lu Jing's shouts could be heard from inside. Yi Juetian pushed open the door and entered the house, then revealed a smile. Mother. Lu Jing's expression was a lot better, and a trace of redness could be seen on her face. This was all thanks to the spiritual spring. However, Yi Juetian noticed that today his mother seemed to be a bit strange, as if she was very agitated. Little Tian, come to mother's side. Lu Jing called out tenderly. Yi Juetian walked to his mother's side and sat down, then turned his head around and said with a smile, Mother, what happened? Where did Yuqing go? Lu Jing asked straightforwardly. Yi Juetian went into a daze. Could it be that mother discovered something? This shouldn't be. I and sister-in-law did it so secretly. Mother shouldn't have discovered it. Little Tian, Yuqing has never been like this before, and this time, she suddenly disappeared. Furthermore, it was after you went to look for Yuqing. Mother isn't an idiot. Tell mother. Is it because of your big brother? The agitated Lu Jing immediately grabbed onto Yi Juetian's hand. Yi Juetian felt the strength of his mother's hand, and he could feel that his mother's hand was slightly trembling. After Lu Jing found out that Yuqing had disappeared, she only had a single thought in her mind, and that was Yuqing definitely had news about Yihua. If not, Yuqing wouldn't have left just like that. Little Tian, tell mother, did you find your big brother? Hearing his mother's pleading, Yi Juetian finally couldn't bear it anymore. That's right, I found Big Brother, sister-in-law, went to look for Big Brother. Yi Jiuetian didn't hide it anymore. At the same time, he knew that since there wasn't any reaction from sister-in-law for a few days, it was definitely because Big Brother wasn't willing to come back. When Lu Jing heard her son's words, her entire body froze. Her lips were slightly trembling, and a layer of mist appeared in her eyes. Standing up, Lu Jing knelt down in front of the god and paid her respects. God bless my son. My Yi Hua is still alive. As she spoke, Lu Jing's tone became choked with sobs. Yi Juetian helped his mother up. Mother, you can't be too agitated. Little Tian, this is great, this is great. Lu Jing looked at her youngest son with a face full of joy. Lu Jing felt that her entire world had brightened up. After waiting for so many years, this day is finally here. Yi Juetian didn't even know what to say. Mother is so happy. Could it be that I'm going to be punished again? Looking at her youngest son's expression, Lu Jing lightly caressed Yi Juetian's face. Is Yi Huan not willing to come back? Lu Jing was indeed worthy of being the talented woman of the past. Her foresight was like a god. If Yi Hua was willing to come back, he would have long returned together with his youngest son. If Yuqing was willing to come back, she would have brought Yi Hua back long ago. However, even now, Yi Hua is still not back. There was only one possibility, and that was that Yi Hua wasn't willing to come back. Mother, Big Brother lost his memory. Yi Juetian naturally had to explain. Lu Jing chuckled. Then it makes sense. No wonder your brother isn't willing to come back. Mother, but what? Yi Juetian wanted to say something, but he didn't dare to. Should he say it or not? But Big Brother has changed a lot. He's not the same Big Brother as before. Yi Juetian felt that he had to tell his mother so that she could be mentally prepared. If his Big Brother came back, at least his mother would know about it and wouldn't be so sad. Lu Jing sighed heavily after hearing this. Your Big Brother lost his memory, so it's normal for him to have some changes. But Mother, Big Brother has changed a lot. At this moment, Lu Jing couldn't help but become vigilant. Do you still not know what kind of moral character Yi Hua has? Take pleasure in helping others, love the people, and eradicate evil. He would do all kinds of good deeds, and wherever there was injustice, he would rush there to save the people who were living in the abyss of suffering. That was why Yi Hua was deeply loved and respected by the people back then. Chapter 973. Is your Big Brother living well now? Lu Jing asked lightly, not in a hurry to ask why. Big Brother is currently living in Kangluo continent. He is an emperor, Yi Juetian said softly, thinking that Big Brother is currently a tyrant. Lu Jing laughed. Then he should be a good emperor. I feel that Yi Hua is made to be an emperor. In the past, Lu Jing wouldn't dare to say such disrespectful words, but right now, she was too happy, so she said it. Mother, I don't know if Big Brother is a good emperor or not, but when I saw Big Brother, he was currently massacring some defenseless people. There were old and young. Tens of thousands of people were all beheaded. Impossible. After hearing this, Lu Jing was so excited that she stood up. In Lu Jing's heart, Yi Hua definitely wouldn't do such a thing. How could he possibly go and kill some defenseless people? I saw with my own eyes. Those people seem to have angered Big Brother, but Big Brother's way of doing things is too extreme. As a deity, Yi Juetian had been instilled with great principles since he was young, and back then, Yi Hua was also the same. I wonder if this should be called brainwashing. Did her Big Brother do anything else? Right now, Lu Jing still didn't dare to be sure. There was definitely something that he had no choice but to do. Big Brother married 2 wives. Lu Jing didn't become unhappy after hearing this. Although deities were monogamous, that was only for commoners. For some experts, it was very normal for them to have a few more women to reproduce. Have you seen those 2 women? How are their characters? Lu Jing asked curiously. After all, they were her son's wives. She still had to ask about them. Yi Juetian nodded, and Big Brother's 2 wives seem to be pretty good. They are comparable to Big Sister-in-Law. Lu Jing laughed lightly, then revealed a helpless expression. Does your Big Sister-in-Law know? Understood. This is really hard for Yuqing. After waiting for Yi Hua for so many years, after being infatuated with him for so many years, Yi Hua actually married someone else. Lu Jing sighed lightly. Right now, her daughter-in-law, Lu Jing, only recognizes Qian Yuqing. After all, Qian Yuqing had been watching over Yi Hua for so many years. Such a daughter-in-law was really hard to find. Why isn't your big brother willing to come back? Lu Jing finally asked this crucial question. Although her son had lost his memory, he was still unwilling to come back. As a mother, how could she not feel heartache for the flesh that fell from her body? Yi Juetian still decided not to say the exact words. Big brother, you still haven't mentally prepared yourself, right? Just accept it. After all, my appearance was very unexpected. That's true. After all, your big brother has been wandering outside for thousands of years. I can understand. Although Lu Jing said so, she felt a little sad in her heart. However, at this moment, the sound of hurried footsteps came from the door. Bang! The door was pushed open by a man, and Yi Jueyin immediately stood at the side and respectfully called out, "Lord Father." That's right, the person who came was the patriarch of Yi family, Yi Shan, who was also Yi Hua's biological father. Yi Shan's physique was well-proportioned. He wasn't very muscular, nor was he very skinny. His facial features were excellent, but they were currently covered by a layer of anger. Standing behind Yi Shan was the third brother, Yi Chun. The Yi family guard stood at the door, as if waiting to arrest someone. Yi Shan glanced at Lu Jing, then shifted his gaze to Yi Juetian. Speak. Where is Qian Yuqing? Yi Juetian's heart sank. As expected, it was because of his sister-in-law. I reckon that the higher-ups are pressuring me. Father, how would I know about Qian Yuqing's matter? Yi Juetian slightly lowered his head and replied, At this crucial moment, I definitely cannot reveal any information. Right at this moment, Yi Chun said solemnly, Sixth brother, this matter concerns our entire Yi family. Third brother, I really don't know. I haven't contacted Qian Yuqing for a very long time already. Yi Juetian said gravely. His tone was filled with sincerity, and it didn't seem like he was lying. Yi Juetian, Father will give you one last chance. Yi Shan shouted out coldly. Yi Juetian didn't have the slightest bit of fear towards this biological father of his. Yi Juetian's impression of him was becoming worse and worse. Father, I don't know. Very good. Yi Shan looked towards Lu Jing, then directly walked over. Upon seeing this, Yi Juetian immediately stopped him. Father, what are you trying to do? Scram. Yi Shan directly angrily tossed his son to the side. Yi Chen casually took out a purple rope and tied Yi Juetian up. Yi Shan walked in front of Lu Jing and looked at the woman in front of him. A trace of struggle flashed past his eyes, which was soon replaced by determination. Yi Shan opened the brocade box on the small table, and within it, there were 2 bottles of spiritual spring. Yi Shan directly took them away. Lu Jing just looked at her husband's actions. She didn't stop him, nor did she say anything. Father, you can't do this. That's Mother's Life Extension spring water. Yi Juetian, who was tied up, roared angrily. I really didn't expect Father to be so heartless to this extent. It's fine if you don't give Mother the spiritual spring water, but you actually took away Mother's spiritual spring water. Now that he had taken away his mother's spirit spring water, he was cutting off his mother's path to survival. Yi Shan walked towards the door and said gravely, Yi Juetian, you better bring Qian Yuqing back for me. After he finished speaking, Yi Shan left the courtyard. Yi Chen took a look inside the house, then casually waved his hand, and the purple rope that was tying Yi Juetian landed in Yi Chen's hands. Yi Shan, you are not human. Pa. Just as Yi Juetian finished shouting, he was sent flying and landed outside the courtyard. Little Tian, Lu Jing shouted in pain. However, Yi Shan's voice rang out in the air. If you are disrespectful again, don't blame Father for punishing you. Yi Juetian wiped off the blood at the corner of his mouth. He clenched his fists tightly, but there was nothing he could do. Little Tian, Lu Jing ran over with small steps. With a look of concern in her eyes, She gently wiped off the blood at the corner of her son's mouth. "Mother, your son is useless," Chuetian cried. He hated himself for being useless. He could only watch as his father took away his mother's life-saving medicine. Yet he was powerless to do anything. Lu Jing hugged Yi Juetian lightly. "Little Tian, this is not your fault. This is not your fault. This is not anyone's fault either." "Mother, are you still speaking up for father? He is trying to force you to death." "Little Tian, your father has done enough. Mother is just a burden. Mother also does not wish for you to hate father. Do you understand?" "But mother—" "All right, little Tian, don't call your father by his name in the future." Lu Jing said seriously. This Yi clan's family rules were still very strict. What else could Yi Juetian do? I can only nod my head. Yi Shan, who was walking far away, held 2 bottles of spirit spring water in his hands. His expression was a little strange, as if he was forcefully enduring the pain in his heart. "Father, little Tian will understand in the future." Yichen stood behind and said softly. Yishan stopped in his tracks. His gaze turned deep as he continued walking forward. As the head of the Yi clan, Yishan had a lot of helplessness. The entire Yi clan was in his hands. Many of the decisions were not up to him. Yishan walked into the front hall. He cupped his hands toward the man in the hall and shouted, "Ninth Prince." Chapter 974. Of course, this man was Huang Yun. He turned around and asked in a deep voice, "Patriarchy, is there any news of Yuqing?" "Don't worry, Ninth Prince." Yishan did not say anything and only told Huang Yun not to worry. Huang Yun did not pursue the matter. He understood what Yishan meant and nodded. "Bring Yuqing back, and your Yi clan will receive many benefits." "Thank you, Ninth Prince." Yishan and Yichun cupped their hands. Huang Yun heaved a sigh of relief and walked out of the hall. "Farewell, Ninth Prince." After sending Huang Yun off, Yishan sat at the side with a sullen expression. Yichun poured a cup of tea. "Father, will Old Sixth know where Qian Yuqing is?" Yishan held the teacup as steam swirled around it. Yishan did not drink and said indifferently, "Old Sixth must know. Should we send someone to follow Old Sixth?" Yichen asked softly. Yishan shook his head. "I only want the results, not the process." Yichen understood, but he still asked softly, "Father, Qian Yuqing has never been like this before. Now that she suddenly disappeared, could something have happened? Or does she have some clues about Big Brother?" Yichen added, "Crack." The teacup in Yishan's hand instantly shattered, and hot tea splashed onto his fingers. However, this heat was nothing to Yishan. There was no joy or disgust in Yishan's eyes. Logically speaking, he should be happy. "Old Third, don't be like your big brother. Do you understand?" Yishan reprimanded sternly. Yichen replied respectfully, "Father, I understand. Your brother has brought this upon himself." Yishan said in a deep voice, then he stood up and left. Yichen bowed slightly and sent his father off. After his father left, Yichun frowned slightly. Big Brother was too outstanding. So outstanding that even his brothers were jealous, not to mention others. Furthermore, Big Brother was very stubborn and not tactful enough, offending countless people. He even dared to offend the emperor for the sake of commoners. His father was very straightforward. Don't learn from Big Brother. If Big Brother had been more low-profile back then, he would not have ended up like this. Actually, in the eyes of those with power, they could guess that the Yi clan's first young master had obstructed many people's interests, so they could only eliminate him. No matter how outstanding a person was, if they did not know how to conduct themselves, they would definitely invite a fatal disaster. Big Brother was a classic example. In fact, in his father's eyes, the Yi family had fallen to such a state because of his eldest brother. On the other side, Yi Juetian naturally went to find Qian Yuqing. If he didn't find Qian Yuqing, his mother's life would be in danger. Lu Jing didn't stop Yi Juetian. She hoped that Xiao Tian would be able to bring Yihua back and let her take a look at Yihua while she was still alive. That was enough. To Lu Jing, her satisfaction was to see her son. That was all. Yi Juetian secretly found Mute in the boundary room and used the same method to come to the Kangluo continent. In an instant, he appeared at the entrance of Voidless Empire. Yi Juetian immediately rushed towards the imperial palace with an anxious look on his face. Even his eyes were bloodshot right now. However, Yi Juetian discovered that a group of yellow-armored warriors were blocking his way. The yellow-armored warrior instantly pulled out the blade at his waist and pointed it at Yi Juetian. How could Yi Juetian still care about anything else right now? Two pitch-black broadswords appeared in his hands. Those who block me shall die. The enraged Yi Juetian immediately raised his blade and rushed forward. Yi Juetian had the strength of a supreme, after all, and the yellow-armored warrior was not a match for him at all. Yi Juetian's attack instantly created an opening in his body. Looking at the white figure not far away, Yi Juetian knew that it was his sister-in-law. But why was sister-in-law standing here? Yi Juetian directly flew towards Qian Yuqing. However, at this moment, the yellow-armored warrior seemed to have given up on resisting and continued to lock him down. Within the imperial palace, Dongfang Yu was standing beside Yi Hua, and Zhu Tian was squatting on Dongfang Yu's shoulder. Yi Hua was holding onto a pair of scissors and was trimming a potted plant, while Dongfang Yuan was standing at the back and teaching Yi Hua softly. Only by doing so would Yi Hua feel a bit more comfortable. Your Honor, your little brother is coming over. Very quickly, Wei Chang's reminder appeared in Yi Hua's mind. With a kacha sound, Yi Hua directly cut the flower. Dongfang Yuan who was standing behind him, hurriedly lowered her head and took a step back. Yi Hua didn't say anything and continued trimming. However, this time, he seemed to be absent-minded. At the entrance of the palace, Qian Yuqing turned her head around and looked towards Yi Juetian, then asked confusedly, Little Tian, why did you come over? Sister-in-law you. Yi Juetian walked over to Qian Yuqing's side. Looking at the blood on Qian Yuqing's clothes, Yi Juetian's brows tightly wrinkled. Qian Yuqing laughed lightly. I'm fine. I gave Yi Hua a beating just now, and right now he is hiding inside and doesn't dare see me. Yi Juetian naturally knew that Qian Yuqing was just ting. My sister-in-law is just too kind to the point that I can't bear to hurt her. Trust me, Yi Hua will come to a compromise very soon. Qian Yuqing squeezed out a trace of a smile and said, Sister-in-law, I'm afraid that we don't have the time to wait anymore. What's the matter? Imperial Cloud has already discovered that you have gone missing, and right now, the entire spiritual city is on high alert. Furthermore, upon hearing that, Qian Yuqing's expression changed greatly. Furthermore, what happened? Father took away Mother's spirit spring and told me to bring you back. If not, Mother. Speaking up to here, Yi Juetian tightly clenched his fists. How can there be such a scoundrel husband in this world? He is simply inhumane. Qian Yuqing also knew how serious this matter was. It is definitely Imperial Cloud who is behind this matter. Could it be that this person has gone mad? To actually use such a despicable method. I have indeed underestimated Imperial Cloud in the past. However, the truth was not something that Imperial Cloud requested. He only requested Yishan to bring Qian Yuqing back. Qian Yuqing looked at the Imperial Palace. If I were to go back this time, I would most likely not be able to come out, let alone see Yi Hua. Imperial Cloud would definitely be impatient to complete the marriage with me, and if I don't agree to it, Yi Hua's mother would be in danger. However, do I really have to leave right now? I still haven't seen Yi Hua yet. I can't bear to leave. Sister-in-law, Big Brother has already changed. He has changed to the point that we don't even recognize him anymore. Yi Juetian was very disappointed with his big brother. In the past, he felt that his big brother would be able to support the family, but right now, his big brother is actually hiding in the Imperial Palace and not coming out. No, your big brother didn't change. Qian Yuqing was firm in her belief. If Yi Hua had changed, I would have already died that night. In the end, it was still him who didn't allow it. In the past, he had already said that if I were to die, he wouldn't allow it. Yi Juetian suddenly roared out, No, Big Brother has changed. In the past, if Big Brother knew that Mother was being wronged, no matter where he was, he would still rush back. However, right now, he only knows how to hide in the Imperial Palace and not dare to face reality. Hearing Yi Juetian's roar, Qian Yuqing hurriedly said, "Little Tian, you cannot be so rude. No matter what, Yi Hua is still your big brother." Chapter 975. No, he's not my big brother anymore. I, Yi Juetian, don't have such a heartless big brother. His mother was on the brink of death, but he didn't care. Yi Hua, you're a coward, a coward. Yi Juetian roared in anger. When he thought of his mother's helpless appearance, his heart ached. Right now, the only one who could help his mother was his big brother. But Big Brother did not come out. He would rather hide in the palace and be a coward. Pa! A clear and melodious sound rang out from Yi Juetian's face. The sound wasn't very heavy, but it was very loud. Yi Juetian covered his face in disbelief. Even Qian Yuqing, who was standing to the side, was amazed. Yi Hua actually hit his younger brother? He had been slapped twice in one day, once by his father and once by his big brother. Yi Juetian also became impulsive. Yi Hua, if you have the ability, come and slap me in front of me. What kind of man are you to hide behind? Pa! Yi Juetian suffered another slap to his face. However, Yi Hua's voice rang out in the air. It's not up to you to make irresponsible remarks when I do things. This voice. How could Qian Yuqing possibly forget that this is Yi Hua's voice? Yi Hua is finally willing to talk. However, Yi Hua's words enraged Yi Juetian once again. You're a heartless fellow. Pa! Yi Juetian suffered another slap to his face. After being lectured by his big brother once again, Yi Juetian suddenly started laughing loudly, as if he had gone mad. Big brother, come on, beat me to death if you can. You ungrateful man. To think that my mother and sister-in-law prayed for you every day, only to receive such heartless treatment from you. I feel indignant for them. After he finished speaking, Yi Juetian waited for the slap to come, but it never came. Why aren't you fighting? Keep fighting. Let me tell you, Yi Hua, you owe Mother too much. You won't be able to pay me back in this lifetime. Yi Hua snorted coldly. In this world, there is nothing that I, the Supreme Overlord, cannot afford to pay back. That's good. Pay me back the rent. Can you afford it? Rent? When did I ever owe rent? You lived in Mother's belly for 10 months. Isn't that considered rent? If you have the ability, then return it. Yi Juetian roared. The voice in the air fell silent. Little Tian, enough. Don't say any more. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. Sister-in-law, do you think I want to say it? This was an unfilial son. You marrying Huang Yun is better than marrying him. Qian Yuqing's face turned cold. That's enough, little Tian. Hearing his sister-in-law's angry shout, Yi Juetian calmed down quite a bit. As for the sound in the air, it did not ring out anymore. Qian Yuqing and Yi Juetian just stood there without saying anything. As the sky gradually darkened, Qian Yuqing heaved a sigh of relief as if she had made a decision. Yi Hua, I have to go. Your mother is still waiting for me to go back and save her. Qian Yuqing felt helpless. Instead of waiting here, she might as well do something more practical. Yi Juetian nodded and did not say anything. Going back now was the best outcome. Waiting here was simply a waste of time. However, after waiting for a long time, Yi Hua still didn't give her any instructions. Qian Yuqing was very disappointed. She sighed lightly, and the two of them directly soared into the sky and disappeared. Right now, Yi Hua was sitting in the children's palace. He could sense that Qian Yuqing and Yi Juetian had left. Yi Juetian's words were still lingering in Yi Hua's mind. This kind of rent, I am indeed unable to afford it. Also, Qian Yuqing is going to marry some Huang Yin? What kind of situation is this? At this moment, light footsteps rang out. The person who came was precisely Qingya. Qingya could be seen sitting beside Yi Hua. Qingya did not say anything and just quietly accompanied Yi Hua. After a long time, Qingya said, I wonder how the children are doing right now. I really miss them. Yihua looked at the training platform outside of the palace. In the past, he would often see God Yi and Yi Lu exchanging their experiences in martial arts. Meanwhile, Ali and Yin would always accompany him and chat with him. So how could they not miss their children? That is impossible. After all, their children are my blood. They should be doing well. Yihua said faintly. Qingya stretched out her hand and held on to Yihua's hand, then said attentively, Yihua, we are both parents. To me, you and the children are my everything. I hope that the two of you are doing well. Hearing this, Yihua did not say anything. Yihua, being a mother is really not easy. You should still remember when Yen'er was born. I almost died, but I still wanted to give birth to Yen'er. You should understand what I mean, right? Qingya wanted to tell Yihua that for the sake of her child, a mother is willing to do anything. Yihua still did not utter a word. Qingya didn't want to continue persuading Yihua. After patting on the back of Yihua's hand, Qingya turned around and left. Yihua had already said all that he needed to say. Whether or not it would be of any use, it would depend on Yihua himself. After Qingya walked out of the palace, Dongwang Baiji, who was waiting outside, asked curiously, how was it? I don't know. Why is this Yihua so stubborn? I have to give it to him. Dongwang Baiji said in a low voice. However, just as the two of them were ridiculing Yihua for being stubborn, they suddenly sensed an aura flying towards the sky. Qingya and Dongwang Baiji raised their heads and looked towards the night sky, and a gratified smile appeared on the corner of their mouths. This is our man. This was a supreme being. Qingya and Dongwang Baiji were not the only ones who saw it. All of Yihua's subordinates sensed it as well. All of them ran to the entrance of the palace and looked at the night sky. Afterward, they bowed down and shouted out, His honor is mighty. His honor finally thought the same way. All of the subordinates were finally at ease. This is our boss, not afraid of anything. Not only the subordinates, all of Wushu Empire's soldiers bowed down and shouted out, Long live our emperor! The commoners didn't know what was going on, but they still bowed down and shouted out, Long live our emperor! In the end, Yihua still chose to face the past. This time, Yihua didn't bring a single person with him to God's realm. Yihua was completely relaxed. He was going to scout out the path and make preparations for the future. God's realm, 1,000 residences. Qian Yuqing had already returned, and she had even changed into a set of clean clothes. As for Yi Juetian, he had already returned and directly took the spirit spring from his father's hands, because he had already brought Qian Yuqing back. Yuqing, where have you been these few days? Your father has been worried to death about you. Look at the 9th prince. He has also been working hard for you. Qian Yuqing's father, Qian Yi, stood at the side and said earnestly. Huang Yin sat in front of Qian Yuqing, and his expression had eased up by quite a bit. In the end, it was still Yi Juetian who found out where Qian Yuqing was. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice, I have made father and the 9th prince worried. Yuqing has been walking around Minghuang Mountain these few days. After hearing that, Huang Yin slightly wrinkled his brows. With a smile on his face, Qian Yi said, Yuqing, if you're going to Minghuang Mountain, you have to call the 9th prince as well. Father, Yuqing wants to be alone for a while. Chapter 976. Hearing that her daughter was still so stubborn, Qian turned around and looked at Huang Yun, feeling a bit embarrassed. Huang Yun was a bit angry. That day, I invited you to Minghuang Mountain, but you didn't go, and I went alone. Could it be that you don't want to be with me that much? Uncle Qian, actually Yuqing and I have discussed it. We plan to get married soon, and father has agreed. Huang Yun said. He couldn't wait any longer. He felt like he was going to lose her. Hearing Huang Yun's words, Qian Yi was delighted. This was exactly what she wanted. Her daughter and Yi family's Yihua were both in name only. No, they didn't even have a name. After all, they left without completing the wedding. Huang Yun's talent was not any weaker than Yihua's, and it was even stronger. The main point was that he was from the royal family, and he might even become the emperor in the future. Her daughter would become the noblest woman in the god's realm, and she was her father. Qian family would be immortal. That's great. This is Yuqing's fortune. Qian Yi said happily, then looked at her daughter. Qian Yuqing knew that this would happen. Her disappearance made Huang Yun realize that if he didn't keep her by his side, it might happen a second or third time. If I don't agree, what will happen? Offending the royal family would definitely happen, but the main point is who will give me the divine spring. If the royal family doesn't give me the divine spring, wouldn't Yi Hua's mother be waiting for death? What if I agree? Qian family will become the #1 family in Lingdu. Yi Hua's mother will continue to live. My happiness? Compared to Yi Hua's mother, it's nothing. Being able to help Yi Hua with something is also a type of happiness. Yuqing? Yuqing? Qian, he called out softly. She was also signaling him with her eyes. At this critical juncture, he should not throw a tantrum. For the sake of our family, you must marry. Qian Yuqing knew what her father meant. She looked at Huang Yun and thought of Yi Hua. If Yi Hua came back with her, she would be able to reject him, but Yi Hua didn't come back. So all her assumptions were useless. Give me a few more days to consider, Qian Yuqing said softly, still holding a bit of hope. Qian froze for a moment, then looked at Huang Yun and smiled. This girl is a bit embarrassed. Ninth Prince, please forgive her. Is 3 days enough? Huang Yun ignored Qian Yi and asked Qian Yuqing. All right. Qian Yuqing agreed to Yi Hua's words. If Yi Hua doesn't come within these 3 days, then I won't be able to do anything about it. In this spirit capital, his strength was still too weak. He could not withstand the massive royal family. When Huang Yin heard this, he was quite satisfied. He stood up and said, Yuqing, rest early. I'll come back in 3 days for your reply. Qian Yuqing nodded. Seeing her daughter nod, Qian Yi was relieved. Ninth Prince, let me see you off. As Qian Yuqing watched Huang Yun leave, she heaved a sigh of relief and stood up to return to her room. Yuqing, wait, Qian Yi shouted as she ran over after sending off the royal cloud. Father, is there anything else? Qian Yuqing leaned forward and asked. Qian Yi sighed. Yuqing, I know that you don't like Huang Yun, but right now, the opportunity is right in front of our Qian family. In the past, when you didn't want to marry into the royal family, Father allowed you. And when you wanted to marry Yi Hua, Father also allowed you. But this time, can you listen to Father? Yi Hua is already in the past. You should look forward and accept a new relationship. Hearing her father's words, Qian Yuqing knew that her father doted on her. And Yuqing understands. This is how Father's good daughter should be. Go and rest well, then prepare to become a bride. Qian Yi was very happy. Hearing her daughter's tone, she more or less knew that there was a chance. Seems like going out this time is pretty good. It seems like she has thought through a lot of things. I'm just a little curious. Just where did my daughter go? Why did she suddenly think things through? At Yi family, Yi Juetian sat in his mother's room and was currently dripping a drop of spirit spring water. He seemed to be very careful. After all, an extra drop would be a waste. However, Lu Jing didn't put in her heart at all. Little Tian, is Yi Hua still not willing to come back? Yi Juetian pursed his lips, then dripped a drop of green spirit spring water into a bowl of clear water. The entire bowl of clear water instantly turned into a green liquid that emitted a strange fragrance. The members of the royal family weren't able to enjoy this spirit spring water every day, but Lu Jing was getting a drop of it every day, and it had been the same for thousands of years. It was simply even more extravagant than the royal family, but it couldn't be helped. This was a life-saving medicine. Mother, Big Brother hasn't thought things through. In order to not let his mother be sad, Yi Juetian still tactfully said, how could Lu Jing not be able to tell that Yi Hua isn't willing to come back this time? Seems like Yi Hua is determined not to come back. How about I go down and take a look at Yi Hua? Lu Jing said lightly. Mother, your body isn't able to withstand the teleportation at all. Yi Juetian said gravely with a trace of blame. Do you really want to see Big Brother that much? But Big Brother doesn't even put you in his heart at all. Lu Jing naturally knew, and she let out a deep breath. Mother, drink the medicine first. Yi Juetian said lightly. Lu Jing nodded her head, then narrowed her eyes and drank the bowl of medicine. After drinking the bowl of medicine, Lu Jing's entire complexion seemed to have become brand new. However, this kind of effect could only last for a day. Every time Lu Jing stopped, it would cause harm. Mother, you rest well. I will take care of Big Brother. All right, little Tian, you rest early too. Yi Juetian cupped his hands, then bid farewell to his mother and casually closed the door. After walking out of his mother's courtyard, Yi Juetian stopped his footsteps. What are you two doing? Yi Juetian asked gravely. Two figures could be seen walking out from the darkness. Number 6, third brother invites you over. The one who spoke was number 5, Yi Zhe, and the one who was standing at the side with a smile was number 4, Yi Liangkai. Number 4, Yi Liangkai, and number 5, Yi Zhe, had the same mother. And number 3, Yi Chun, and number 2, Yi Yuanqing, had the same mother. However, number 2, Yi Yuanqing, was a woman. Yi Shan only had these 3 wives, yet he gave birth to 5 handsome men, causing others to be envious of him. After all, the gods' realm valued men more than women, with the exception of women who were good-looking. It is already so late. Why is third brother looking for me? Juetian asked cautiously. Number 6, you will know once you go over. Yi Liangkai said faintly, a smile still on his face. However, those who were familiar with him all knew that this smile seemed to be fixed. No matter what he said, that smile would always be squinted into a slit, and the corners of his mouth would always be curved upwards. Yi Juetian didn't feel very good, but if number 5 and number 4 came together, he wouldn't be a match for them. All right, Yi Juetian chose to be wise and not fight with them. Even if he fought with them, he wouldn't be a match for them. Chapter 977. The 3 brothers directly walked out of the Yi clan. Yi Juetian became even more curious. Where exactly were they going? He had even left Spirit Capital. Old 6, don't worry. We're brothers. I won't go so far as to kill you, Yi Liangkai said calmly. Under the moonlight, the smile on his face looked very ghostly. Soon, the 3 brothers arrived at a dilapidated house. A bonfire was lit inside, outlining 2 shadows. It seemed that there was someone else besides the 3rd brother. Yi Juetian had a grave expression on his face as he walked into the dilapidated house. Of course, he recognized Yi Chen's back. This was another person. He didn't expect it to be the 9th prince. Imperial Cloud. Why was he with 3rd brother? 9th prince, 3rd brother, 6th brother is here. Yi Zhe cupped his hands and said solemnly. Then, he and Yi Liangkai stood at the door. Yi Juetian's face darkened as he glanced behind him. It was obvious that he was preventing him from running away. 9th prince, 3rd brother, what's the matter so late at night? Yi Juetian cupped his hands and asked. No matter what, these 2 people were of high seniority. He still had to put on an act. Huang Yun and Yi Chun turned around. Huang Yun didn't say anything, but Yi Chun asked in a deep voice, 6th brother, where did you find Qian Yuqing's disappearance? Minghuang Mountain. Yi Juetian had already gotten a confession from Qian Yuqing. Minghuang Mountain was a pretty good excuse. Huang Yun's expression changed. Yi Chun seemed to have sensed it. He asked again, 6th brother, the 9th prince was here. Don't lie. 3rd brother, I really didn't lie. I found Qian Yuqing in Minghuang Mountain. Of course, Yi Juetian had to stick to his story. He couldn't let it slip. Yi Chen's expression turned cold. He shouted, 6th brother, you're still not being honest. The 9th prince's men had already searched the entire Phoenix Crime Mountain. There's no sign of Qian Yuqing. Yi Chen was right. Huang Yun knew that Qian Yuqing liked to go to Minghuang Mountain. He also knew why. That was because of the man in the past. Therefore, he didn't let Minghuang Mountain off this time. However, they couldn't find Qian Yuqing at all. He didn't want to ask, but he felt that Qian Yuqing had changed a lot since she came back. She even told such a lie to deceive him. Then where did he go? Huang Yun was very curious. Where did he go? However, Yi Juetian definitely knew about this. It seemed like this place was very well hidden. After hearing this, Yi Juetian's expression didn't change. He continued to say, 9th prince, Qian Yuqing was indeed found by me on Ming Huang Mountain. Yichen was puzzled. Why are you not telling the truth? Don't you know that our Yi clan is relying on the ninth prince? Why must he be so stubborn? I've already said that someone has searched everywhere. Huang Yin asked in a low voice. Juetian, Qian Yuqing is my fiancée. I want to know where she has been these few days. You should be able to understand, right? It was a warning. Of course, Yi Chun and the others could tell as well. Sixth brother, answer the ninth prince's question honestly. Yi Chun also warned. Don't lie anymore. This is not a good thing for either of us. With just a word from the ninth prince, we can take on important positions, and even father can be reinstated. Although Yi Hua had beaten up Yi Juetian, in Yi Juetian's heart, Big Brother was still Big Brother, and it was normal for Big Brother to teach him a lesson. Besides, Big Brother also lost his memory. Their brotherhood would not change. Third brother, I didn't lie. Yi Juetian was still certain. However, in Huang Yun's heart, the more Yi Juetian said this, the more suspicion he had in his heart. Because if Yi Juetian wasn't willing to say it, then it was definitely because he couldn't say it. He couldn't say it. Yi Chun, your little brother, come make him speak. Huang Yin said faintly. I must find out today. Where did Qian Yuqing go? She even had to come up with a lie. Can Yi Chun reject? He understood that he couldn't reject. Sixth brother, I will give you one last chance to speak. Yi Chun questioned in a low voice, and that purple rope appeared in his hand once more. Seems like an Asian binding is going to be used. Yi Juetian was a man with backbone. Big Brother's tracks definitely cannot be exposed. If not, Big Brother will definitely be in danger. It is at Minghuang Mountain. Yizha could be seen swinging his hand, and the purple rope tied Yi Juetian up. As expected of an Asian binding, Yi Juetian was tied up tightly. Yi Juetian didn't resist, because he couldn't resist at all. He didn't have any chance of winning. Third brother, aren't you afraid of the family's law by doing this? Yi Juetian questioned. Brothers killing each other was a great taboo. Yi Chun said faintly, if I said that this was tacitly agreed by father, would you believe me? I believe you, of course I believe you. Yi Juetian smiled, but this smile was a little desolate. Right now, the Yi family seemed to be controlled by this Huang Yin. Whatever he wanted the Yi family to do, the Yi family would do. Yi Chun looked at his two little brothers. Yi Liangkai and Yi Zhe walked over, and a red whip condensed in their hands. This was simply an Asian binding and whip combination. However, this wasn't a normal whip. After all, the toughness of a supreme being's body was incomparable. This was a whip that could whip souls, and it was a little similar to Chinya's weapon. The only difference was that this whip was a weaker version. Even if it wasn't good to use, it could still make Yi Juetian suffer. Yi Juetian felt grief in his heart. For an outsider, he actually beat his brother. The Yi family was just like this, simply a trash family. If it wasn't for his mother, he would have left home long ago. He truly didn't want to stay here for even a second longer. Yi Juetian, speak, and you won't need to be whipped. Yi Zhe shouted out. Of course, he didn't want to whip Yi Juetian, but he had no choice, as this concerned Yi family's future. Yi Juetian said faintly, I already told you. I found it at Minghuang Mountain. Ha! The whip that was emitting a red radiance fiercely lashed onto Yi Juetian's back, and pa-pa sounds rang out. After being lashed like this, Yi Juetian felt that he couldn't even stand stably anymore. Ha! Yi Liangkai also lashed out, and this caused Yi Juetian's eyes to roll back. He felt that his soul was about to shatter. Yi Chun asked gravely, Old Six, why do you have to be so stubborn? What's wrong with speaking? If you have the ability, then kill me. Don't talk so much. Yi Juetian shouted out. You bunch of naive people. Am I, Yi Juetian, the kind of person who would betray my brothers? Huang Yin took in a deep breath. Yi Juetian, why are you doing this? Those who go against me, Huang Yin, will not have a good ending. Those who go against me, Yi Juetian, will not have a good ending either. Huang Yun's gaze turned cold. Pa-pa-pa-pa. Yi Zhe and Yi Liangkai, who were standing behind Yi Juetian started lashing crazily at Yi Juetian. However, their brows were tightly locked, and they would occasionally look towards Yichun. They seemed to be asking if this should be enough, right? However, at this moment, Yi Juetian had already fallen onto the ground, and cold sweat could be seen on his forehead. His complexion was also exceptionally pale, and it was clear that his soul had suffered serious injuries. End of this chapter. Chapter 978. But even so, Yi Juetian still didn't say anything. This is like Big Brother torturing me thousands of times. I feel like my first love for Big Brother. Enough, Yichun said sullenly. If they continued fighting, something bad would happen. They could not continue fighting. Yizha and Yi Liangkai heaved a sigh of relief. They kept their red whips and stood to the side. Yichun cupped his hands towards Huang Yun and said, "Ninth Prince, it seems like there is some misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? Huang Yun asked indifferently, his eyes locked onto Yichun. Yichun lowered his head slightly and didn't dare to touch him. He couldn't afford to offend Huang Yun. Huang Yun looked at Yi Juetian, who was lying on the ground, and asked again, "Where has my fiancée been these few days? What has she been doing?" "At Mingwang Mountain," Yi Juetian said softly. Huang Yun's aura instantly changed. His fiancée had disappeared for 3 days. This made him very unhappy. She even lied to him that she was at Minghuang Mountain. This was like adding oil to the fire. It was like he had been cuckolded. He liked Qian Yuqing so much, but what about her? She didn't even tell him what she was doing. She even used such a method to lie. Huang Yun was a rational person, but he couldn't do anything about Qian Yuqing. Who knew who she was fooling around with these few days? A sword condensed in Huang Yun's hand. This was Huang Yun's sword, a primordial divine artifact, Sun Moon divine aura. As Huang Yun's sword, it was definitely not ordinary. It wasn't any weaker than the ones that Yi Hua had. The only difference was the number. Yi Hua had many, but Huang Yun only had one. Sun Moon divine aura was a little weird. On the sword, one side gave off a sun-like light while the other side was dimmer. This was probably the meaning of the sun and moon. However, this sun-moon divine aura felt like it was breathing. It was like a primordial divine artifact that had a life of its own. However, when this sword was taken out, Yi Chun and the others felt pressured. Fear appeared in their eyes. "Ninth Prince, let's persuade him again," Yi Chun quickly said. This Ninth Prince obviously wanted to kill Old Sixth. How could he do that? Teaching him a lesson was one thing, but killing him was another. "If you guys can't do it, I'll do it," Huang Yun said coldly. At this moment, it was as if he had turned into a devil, showing no mercy at all. Yi Juetian, who was lying on the ground, slightly raised the corner of his mouth. "Go ahead and kill me. You will definitely regret it." Yi Chen's face sank. What kind of situation is this? Why is he still provoking the Ninth Prince like this? Do you not want to live anymore? Bang! Yi Chen kicked the Ninth Prince hard. Then he performed a cup fist salute and said, "Ninth Prince, please calm down." "Humph. I'm afraid I won't be able to rest today." Huang Yun was indeed very angry and could no longer hide this anger. His killing intent had already surged. Yi Chen looked at his 2 younger brothers. Yi Liangkai and Yizhi did not know what to do either. That would offend Huang Yun. Offending Imperial Cloud. Wasn't that the same as offending the entire Imperial family? Then what about the Yi family? However, at this moment, the few people in the room smelled a strange smell and frowned. What is this smell? Those who knew would definitely understand. It was the smell of cigarettes. Yi Juetian, who was lying on the ground, also smelled it. He seemed to have smelled it that day as well. Could it be Big Brother? Zizizi. The shabby door slowly opened, and creaking sounds rang out. The few people in the room looked towards the outside of the room, and their brows tightly knitted together. There was a black figure outside. There was also a spark that was emitting smoke, and the smell was coming out from the spark. The black figure outside seemed to have inhaled a mouthful of smoke, and an even bigger cloud of smoke floated into the room. Secondhand smoke was really harmful. At the very least, Yizha coughed. Who are you? Don't show off here. Yichen shouted out. Huang Yun locked onto this black figure tightly, and he actually didn't notice that someone was approaching them just now. This could only mean one thing. This person's strength. I'm afraid that this person's strength is above mine. Just who is this person? You all are finished. Yi Juetian, who was lying on the ground, weakly, suddenly laughed. Everyone was very confused about Yi Juetian's words. The human figure gradually walked into the room. Yi Chun, Yi Liangkai, and Yizha looked at the human figure that walked into the room, and their pupils gradually narrowed. Astonishment could be seen on their faces, and there was even a type of even deeper fear. Big brother! Yi Chun cried out involuntarily. He was astonished to the point that his words were even stuttering. Yizha and Yi Liangkai were the same as well, but they were astonished to the point that they even had trouble speaking. From the shape of their mouths, it seemed like they wanted to shout out. However, they were unable to shout out. How could this man in front of them possibly appear again? This is definitely not possible. When Huang Yun, who was at the side, heard Yi Chun calling out Big Brother, he immediately knew who this person was. I didn't expect that this person was the genius from 1,000 years ago. Yi family's Yi Hua. Didn't he die already? Why did he appear here again? Could it be the reason why Qian Yuqing disappeared for these few days was to go and meet him? From the looks of it, that is most likely the case. Damn it! Why didn't this man die? Wasn't he supposed to be dead? Yi Chun and the others rubbed their eyes. Even now, they still didn't dare to believe what was happening in front of them. Is this an illusion? Big brother, Yi Juetian shouted out weakly. Yi Hua smoked his cigarette, then flicked away the cigarette ash and said faintly, Yi Juetian, you are really useless. Yi Juetian laughed bitterly. I am indeed useless. Big brother is right. Yi Chun felt that this strange big brother of his seems to have changed. Although his expression was still cold, his movements were very frivolous and carried a bit of a mischievous aura. However, is this person really Big Brother or not? Yi Hua swept his gaze across the four people in front of him, and when he saw Huang Yun, his gaze stopped. Huang Yun also looked at Yi Hua. The two geniuses from 1,000 years ago and 1,000 years later started looking at each other. Yi Chen stood at the side and did not speak. It was clear that he had not digested this fact yet. Yizha and Yi Liangkai were the same as well. Suddenly, a king's might exploded out from Huang Yun's body, and the entire tattered house was instantly blown flat. Following that, the bonfire on the ground was also blown away. Yi Hua silently looked at Huang Yun. He wasn't interested in this little guy, but towards Yi Juetian, who was on the ground, he was interested in this little guy. Who hit you? Yi Hua asked faintly. Damn it, it feels great to have Big Brother in charge. You all have angered Big Brother. Go and eat shit. Big Brother, it was them. Yi Hua asked faintly. Why didn't you retaliate? I couldn't win against them. So weak. Yi Juetian was very speechless. Big Brother, don't attack me anymore. Quickly help my little brother vent his anger. You all bullied my little brother. Looks like I have to properly settle the scores for you all. Yi Hua's tone became gloomy, and his expression started to become unhappy. It is fine for this little brother of his to be taught a lesson by me, his own big brother. But as for the others, who gave you all the guts to do so? Oh my God. Yi Chun and the other two still hadn't come back to their senses. Right now, they really couldn't understand what was going on. End of this chapter. Chapter 979. A long whip suddenly condensed in Yi Hua's hand, and the whip was emitting black smoke. With just a glance, one could tell that Yi Hua's products were not ordinary goods. This whip was different from the one he had just used. It was thicker, longer, and black. Just like a snake, it seemed to have scales. Big Brother, what are you doing? Yi Chen finally recovered his wits. While smoking the cigarette, Yi Hua said, Can't you see it? The black whip in Yi Hua's hand didn't even need to be swung. It directly went straight towards Yi Chun. No, lashing towards Yi Chun. Bang! Caught off guard, Yi Chun was instantly knocked into the air. He did not know where he flew to. This would definitely feel good. Yihua looked towards Yizhe and Yi Liangkai, who were at the side. In Yizhe's eyes, his older brother would never do something like this. The long black whip swept forward with a vicious aura. Bang! Yizhe and Yi Liangkai did not resist at all and were both sent flying. Are you satisfied? Yihua asked faintly. Yi Juetian endured the pain and stood up. Big brother, you're the best. Yihua took a fierce look at Yi Juetian, and the latter immediately hid behind Yihua's back. Yihua felt that this was just like how it was in the past. When I create trouble outside, my big brother would come and clean up after me, and after that, my big brother would give me a good beating. Yi family's young master, Yihua, seeing you today, I have a whole new level of respect for you. Huang Yin said solemnly. I heard from people in the past that back then, Yihua would definitely not hit his own brothers. However, today, the moment he attacked, he sent 3 people flying. Yihua flicked away the cigarette, but that was in his hand, and the slight sparks drew an arc in the air, appearing very bright in the dark night. Who do you think you are, to dare to speak in front of me? Yihua said indifferently. Yi Juetian, who was standing behind Yihua, was startled. F***CK. Big brother is so awesome. He was even more awesome than he was in the past. He directly went up to them. Huang Yin clenched the sun-moon divine aura in his hand tightly, and the originally unstable aura gradually retracted. If they were to fight now, it would definitely attract attention. Before they understood the situation, they couldn't be so rash. Huang Yin was a very scheming and steady person. Aside from being a little impulsive earlier, he was much calmer now. This matter had to be considered at length. Yu Yihua is just a past tense. He's nothing now. As the 9th prince of Spirit Capital, he had his pride. He had already been scolded, so how could he escape? That was impossible. Past tense? Some things can't be changed, just like Qian Yuqing. What did you say? Huang Yin questioned coldly. Yihua said faintly, didn't you want to know where Qian Yuqing has been these few days? Then I'll be merciful and tell you that we've been making up for all these years of separation these past 3 days. I've enjoyed every inch of her skin, and she's enjoyed my man's charm. The divine aura of sun and moon in Huang Yun's hand trembled slightly. It seemed to have sensed its master's anger, and the entire sword began to become irritable. Yi Juetian, who was standing at the back, was also speechless. You rejected sister-in-law outside the door, and in the end, you said that you and sister-in-law were enjoying sex together. If sister-in-law knew about this, she would definitely blame you, big brother. It's mine, it will always be mine. Past tense? How can your current style compare to mine? Yihua shouted out lightly, and the black whip in his hand struck towards Huang Yin. Huang Yin did not dare to be careless. The divine breath of sun and moon in his hand directly pierced out. Boom! The 2 ancient artifacts immediately erupted with a huge amount of energy, and all of the trees in the surroundings instantly collapsed. The entire mountaintop was razed to the ground, and loud noises rang out from the ground. Even Ling Du could feel the noises coming from the ground. At Qian's house, Qian Yuqing hadn't slept for a long time. Suddenly, she sensed a powerful aura coming over. The teacups on the table began to make noises, and even the ground began to tremble. What happened outside? Qian Yuqing wasn't the only one who sensed it. A lot of big figures in Ling Du also sensed it. This should be the damage caused by the 2 ancient artifacts. However, in the surroundings of Ling Du, who would dare to use ancient artifacts? This was the crime of great disrespect. Countless black figures scuttled out from Ling Du and arrived at the location of the incident. However, other than a pile of ruins, they didn't discover anything else. Inside Ling Du, Yihua was smoking with a cigarette in his mouth, and his expression seemed to be a bit unhappy. Yihua originally didn't want to let Huang Yin off, but Yi Juetian said that doing so would attract a lot of people over. Yihua had no choice but to leave the scene, and that Huang Yin seemed to be aware of this as well. Thus he left as well. As for his 3 brothers, who knew where they had run off to long ago. Big brother, why did you suddenly come? Yi Juetian's injuries had just been taken care of by Yi Hua, so it wasn't a big deal at all. I was just bored. Yi Hua said indifferently. You want to face too? Yi Juetian grabbed onto Yi Hua's shoulder, causing Yi Hua's brows to wrinkle. To actually dare to grab onto my shoulder. If not for the fact that you are my blood-related younger brother, I would have chopped off your hand. Big brother, do you have any plans for coming back this time? Are you going to acknowledge your ancestors and return to the clan, then marry big sister-in-law? Yi Juetian asked curiously. He felt that Yi family would only be able to flourish in his big brother's hands. Yi Hua said indifferently, do you think that I am that kind of boring person? Then, big brother, what do you plan to do? Just take a look. Yi Hua said gravely. The main reason why he came back was to take a look at his birth mother. He didn't have any other intentions. Yi Juetian's eyes lit up. Big brother evidently came back to take a look at mother. This is a good thing. Big brother, then what about big sister-in-law? Not interested. Yi Hua said indifferently. He didn't really like Qian Yuqing. But big brother, you just destroyed sister-in-law's innocence. How do you expect sister-in-law to go out and meet people in the future? Yi Juetian teased. He had heard what his big brother had said just now. Huang Yin was going crazy from anger. Yi Hua did not say anything. Just now, he was merely trying to anger Huang Yin, and he did not think too much about it. Actually, sister-in-law is a good woman. Big brother, don't make her angry. She has done too much for mother. For mother, you have to marry her. You don't have to worry about me. Sigh. Yi Juetian sighed deeply. But big brother, you've offended Imperial Cloud this time, which is equivalent to offending the entire Imperial family. If you leave just like that, it will be even more difficult for mother and I to maintain our foothold, and also sister-in-law. Just a small matter. Yi Hua said faintly. Big brother, you're awesome. If you have the ability, then deal with it before you leave. Yi Hua snorted coldly, then continued smoking his cigarette and did not say anything. Soon, the two arrived at Yi family's door. The guard who was standing guard outside the door rubbed his eyes. He didn't drink tonight, so why were there two Yi Juetians? Yi Hua and Yi Juetian slowly walked up the stairs. At this moment, the guard was able to see clearly. This expression, how is this possible? This is impossible. How is it possible for Yi family's young master to still be alive? Bang! Right at this moment, the door was pushed open. Yi Shan could be seen walking out with a sunken face, and behind him were Yi Chun, Yi Liangkai, and Yi Zhe. End of this chapter. Chapter 980. Yi Hua looked at the man who walked out of the room and discovered that this man looked a bit similar to me. However, that's all there is to it. Compared to me, this man is simply not on the same level. From Yi Juetian's words, Yi Hua could tell that this father of his seemed to not treat his mother well. Subconsciously, Yi Hua did not have a good impression of Yi Hua, and there was even enmity towards Yi Hua. Yi Shan looked at the man in front of him with a complicated gaze. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Yi Hua was actually still alive, and he even came back. This is too fake. When they heard Old Third's words, they even thought that they had gone mad or were seeing things. Yi Hua had already been dead for 1,000 years. How could he still be alive? But who was this person in front of him? He is my eldest son. Yi Hua? Who are you? Yi Shan asked in a deep voice. He was probably a liar. What a swindler. Yi Hua looked at the man in front of him and remained silent. Yi Juetian walked forward and said respectfully, Father, this is big brother Yi Hua. Did I ask you? Yi Shan shouted out in a low voice and stared fixedly at Yi Hua. Yi Juetian paused for a moment, then retreated to the side. Yi Hua looked on silently and continued to not speak. I'll ask you again. Who are you? Yi Shan's aura could not help but leak out a little, and the air was immediately surrounded by a murderous aura. Yi Hua finally spoke. However, he asked Yi Juetian, Who is this old man? This was obviously done on purpose. After all, Yi Juetian had just called him father. Wasn't this obvious? However, towards this father of his, Yi Hua did not have a single bit of good impression. Back then, Yi Juetian had already said that the reason why this heartless father of his took away his mother's medicine was to find Qian Yuqing. This kind of scum is actually worthy of being my father? If this matter were to spread out, wouldn't I become a laughing stock? Big brother, Yi Juetian shouted out, not understanding what his big brother meant. Was he going to go against the heavens and the earth? Yishan was finally unable to endure it any longer. Taking a step forward, a powerful aura was emitted out from Yishan's body, causing Yi Hua's robe to flutter crazily. Fighting was forbidden in Spirit Capital. After all, they were all experts. If they were to fight, it would be a huge loss. Yishan raised his hand and brought down a biting cold aura. Is he trying to slap Yi Hua's face? Or is he trying to send Yi Hua flying? Yi Hua's gaze turned cold. What guts? How dare you be so impudent in front of me? The main body was only here to represent his previous life. From a moment his original body turned into a skeleton, the previous Yi Hua was already dead. The current Yi Hua was just an undead. It was a supreme being. How could a small fry like you fight him? Yishan's palm didn't land on Yi Hua's face. It stopped in the air. Yi Hua didn't make a move to stop Yishan's palm. He just stood there motionlessly. At this moment, the surrounding people were all stunned. What was going on? Did something happen? How dare you? Yi Hua said coldly. Yishan felt as if his hand was being controlled by something, unable to move at all. Just as Yishan was feeling puzzled, a huge force struck him and sent him flying into the Yi clan. Boom, boom, boom. From a bird's eye view, the Yi family's building seemed to have been dubbed by someone. Yi Juetian was stupefied. Yi Chen was stunned as well. Yi Liangkai was stunned. Yi Zhi was dumbfounded. As soon as this big brother came back, he beat up his father. Moreover, it was so brutal. The family guards who were standing at the side didn't know what to do. From a professional point of view, such a thing should have happened, but from a rational point of view, they had no chance of winning. After all, even Yi family's family head was sent flying. Even if they went up, they would also be sent flying. Furthermore, this was Yi family's eldest son. It wouldn't be good to beat him up, right? It was only right and proper for the son to beat the father. After all, it was also right and proper for the father to beat the son. Father! Yi Chen came back to his senses and hurriedly ran back. Yi Liangkai and Yi Zhi took a deep look at Yi Hua. They discovered that their big brother had changed. He seemed to have become unreasonable, and he would start fighting with just a single word of disagreement. How could it be like this in the past? It was always others bullying Big Brother, and back then, Big Brother didn't pay attention to them and didn't beat them up. But look at the current situation. Not only did he scold the ninth prince, he even beat up his father. Yi Juetian didn't know what to say anymore. Big Brother beat up father the moment he came back. This is too scary. Big Brother, you have to wipe your butt clean before you can go back. Yi Juetian said in a low voice. Right now, Big Brother is offending more and more people, and in the future, I'm afraid that he will offend even more people. What is there to be afraid of? Yi Hua said indifferently and stepped into Yi family. With this step, it had been 1,000 years, and the last time they met was when they got married. At that time, the entire Yi family was still filled with joy. However, looking at the current situation, there was no such atmosphere, and some of the buildings had even collapsed. When Yi Hua and Yi Juetian walked into Yi family, a group of cavalries arrived at the entrance. All of them were wearing black masks, and they looked very scary. What's going on inside? The leader asked gravely. The family guard cupped his hands and said respectfully, Lord Guard, Yi family's patriarch is currently teaching his son a lesson, and the commotion is a bit big. This Lord Guard didn't think too much and said gravely, if you want to cause a commotion, go outside the city. Yes, I will report. The family guard said respectfully without any temper. However, it wasn't like this in the past. No matter who it was, when they arrived at the Yi family's entrance, they would have to be respectful. These were all bestowed by Yi Hua back then, causing Yi family's reputation to spread throughout the entire God's realm. However, following Yi Hua's fall, this status slowly disappeared as well. Very quickly, This group of cavalries left, and they didn't ask too many questions. It could be that the long period of stability made them feel that nothing would happen, and comfort caused them to let down their guard. Very quickly, Yi Chun found his father, who was within the ruins. Right now, Yi Shan's expression was a bit sluggish, as if he didn't dare to believe what was happening before his eyes. He, the patriarch of Yi family, was actually directly sent flying by someone, and it was such a miserable matter. This was something that had never happened before. The main point was that it was his own son, no. It was still uncertain whether or not it was his son. This evil creature, today, I will place righteousness before family. Yi Shan's anger had already reached the peak, and he didn't care about anything else as he released his aura and flew towards Lu Jing's courtyard, because he knew what his eldest son had come back for. Yi Chun and the others didn't know what to say. They were unable to fathom or think. Is this really Big Brother or not? To actually beat up even his own father, this is so terrifying. Yihua arrived at the courtyard very early. Yi Juetian was very happy. Big Brother finally came to see Mother. This is a good thing, a very good thing. Standing at the entrance, Yihua was a bit nervous, not knowing what to say next. Yi Juetian stood at the side, waiting nervously. However, inside the house, Lu Jing tightly clasped her hands together. That feeling. End of this chapter. Chapter 981. Lu Jing looked towards a shadow at the doorway. Is my Yihua back? It must be. That was great. That's great. Big Brother. Yi Juetian called out softly. Yihua let out a breath and placed both his hands on the door. However, at this moment, a vicious aura appeared in the air. Yihua's face sunk, and he casually swung his arm. Bang! Brilliant colors bloomed in the pitch-black night sky. It also brought with it a powerful pressure that shook Spirit Capital once again. Yi Juetian stared blankly at the fireworks in the sky. It felt like something big was about to happen. For such a situation to occur in Lingdu, he would definitely be arrested. Along with the loud noise, many people felt it. They walked out of their homes and looked in the direction of the Yi family. He thought to himself, is the Yi family crazy? How dare they fight in Lingdu? Aren't they afraid of the Emperor's punishment? Just as he finished thinking, an even more savage aura burst forth. This caused everyone to be dumbstruck. Could something have happened to the Yi clan? Otherwise, why would the Yi family patriarch risk his life like this? Qian Yuqing also looked in the direction of the Yi clan and frowned. What had happened to the Yi clan for them to cause such a huge commotion? Tonight was not peaceful at all. However, in the palace of Lingdu, this was the Emperor's bedroom. At this time, the Emperor had already fallen asleep, and the one sleeping beside him was the concubine who was serving him tonight. There was still a blush on her pretty face, and it seemed that she was satisfied. However, two powerful auras roused the Emperor. The Emperor opened his majestic eyes, and they were captivating. Just this aura alone was enough to tell that this person was not ordinary. One awesome person. Come, the Emperor called out in a low voice. Her ladyship, who was sleeping on the side, was startled awake. She covered her chest with the bedding. Your Majesty, what happened? The Emperor didn't say anything. He stood up. The muscles on his body were well proportioned. They weren't explosive and looked very comfortable. Soon, an imperial guard pushed open the door and entered, kneeling outside the curtain. This subordinate kowtows in salute to your Majesty. Long live the Emperor. What's going on outside? Your Majesty, two strong auras have appeared in the Yi clan. The Emperor was very angry at this moment. He muttered in a low voice. What's going on tonight? Can't you let me sleep? Is this Yi Shan tired of living? Your Majesty, please quell your anger. Let me go and check the situation. The Emperor frowned. Go. Yes, Your Majesty. The young concubine on the bed called out sweetly. This actually made the Emperor's mood a little better. The Emperor slowly sat by the side of the bed. The beautiful concubine was like a snake coiling around the Emperor, her hands caressing his firm chest. Emperor, This concubine will make you comfortable. The emperor patted the young concubine's head. My beloved concubine knows me best. This was the master of spirit capital, Huang Fei. In this god's realm, he was the emperor, and just now it was the imperial guard, sky-bearing. To be able to become the emperor's personal guard, one could only imagine his strength. The sky-bearing empire received the emperor's decree and flew towards the Yi family with the three of them. It had to be said that the sky-bearing empire was rather dashing. His golden armor even reflected light in the night sky. It was as though he was telling everyone that he, the imperial bodyguard, was here. If you were to fight, you definitely shouldn't wear golden armor, as it would attract aggro, because it was too glaring. For such a show-off, it was best to kill him directly. Right now, outside the courtyard, Yi Hua and Yi Shan were still confronting each other. The entire courtyard was in a mess. The surrounding walls had all collapsed, while the room behind Yi Hua was safe and sound. Of course, it was protected by Yi Hua. Yi Shan stared fixedly at Yi Hua. In his heart, he was still shocked. This person was actually able to block 2 of my attacks, and it seems to be so easy for him. Yi Jiuetian was a bit flabbergasted as well. In actuality, I don't know how strong Big Brother is right now, but looking at how Big Brother is acting right now, Big Brother seems to be very formidable, beating up Father to the point where Father doesn't even have the strength to retaliate. This is really venting my mother's anger, but now that I have beaten up Father, how am I going to deal with it in the future? This is truly a troublesome problem, and there will be people coming from the palace very soon. Tizi. Suddenly, Yi Hua heard the sound of a door opening behind him. This caused Yi Hua's heartbeat to quicken. He was able to remain calm when facing Yi Shan, but when he heard that someone walked out from behind him, Yi Hua wasn't able to remain calm anymore. No matter how much of an undead Yi Hua was, he was still Lu Jing's son in the end. His skeleton was formed in Lu Jing's stomach, and this was an undeniable fact. Without Lu Jing, how would there be Yi Hua today? Of course, Yi Shan's sewing was also indispensable. Lu Jing looked at the back view in front of her, and her eyes immediately became moist. This is my Yi Hua, this back view, this body shape. It is exactly the same as back then. The only thing that has changed is his hairstyle. What a strange hairstyle. However, this is not the main point. This is my son. Yi Hua could feel the agitation in the heart of the woman behind him. This feeling is very strange, just like some of the scenes that I've seen before in the past. I killed someone else's son, and that mother screamed out and charged towards me without a care for her life. At that time, I felt that this woman must have gone mad, and running away should have been the correct choice. Yet she actually charged towards me without a care for her life. Back then, I didn't have any thoughts about that kind of feeling, but now, Yi Hua looked at his own mother walking in front of him and opening up her arms. At this moment, Yi Hua seemed to have understood a lot of things. Those mothers swore to protect their own sons with their lives. So this is what family love is. It is indeed different from love. Yi Shan, if you have any anger, come and vent it on me. Don't hurt my child. Right now, Lu Jing suddenly seemed as if she had changed into another person, and she looked extremely similar to those women that Yi Hua had seen in the past, just that all of those women were killed. In Lu Jing's heart, it is fine to treat her however you want, but if you want to kill my son, then you have to step over my dead body first. Lu Jing, get out of my way. He is not Yi Hua. Until now, Yi Shan still wasn't willing to believe that the man in front of him was Yi Hua. In Yi Shan's heart, on one hand, he wanted Yi Hua to come back, but on the other hand, he didn't want Yi Hua to come back. These two kinds of emotions intertwined together, causing Yi Shan to be a bit on the verge of collapse. In the past, Yi Hua was a double-edged sword. He could allow Yi family to rise, but he could also allow Yi family to be destroyed in an instant. Because back then, Yi Hua was too upright. This kind of personality was like a ticking time bomb. What do you know? He is my Yi Hua. Could it be that I don't even recognize my own son? Lu Jing screamed out. After so many years, I finally shouted out. These people are jealous of my Yi Hua, and that's why they're thinking of ways to kill Yi Hua. If it was possible, back then, Lu Jing would have taught Yi Hua that he shouldn't be too outstanding and that he should hide his own excellence, because this world isn't able to contain very outstanding people. Back then, when Lu Jing found out about this point, it was already too late. Thus, when Lu Jing was teaching Yi Juetian, Lu Jing was like this. End of this chapter. Chapter 982. However, Yi Juetian wanted to be a hero like his big brother, and he didn't want to be low profile at all. Unfortunately, his talent wasn't enough, and he was still unable to catch up to Yi Hua. Yi Hua is already dead. He isn't Yi Hua. Yi Shan's voice was trembling a bit. It was unclear what he was thinking right now. Perhaps Yi Shan was thinking that if this is Yi Hua, then Yi family would be in great trouble because the royal family wouldn't let Yi Hua off. The one who acted back then was definitely the royal family. No, he's my son. I am 100% sure. After finished speaking, Lu Jing slowly turned around. Slightly raising her head, she looked towards Yi Hua. Although Yi Hua and Yi Juetian looked exactly the same, Lu Jing was able to tell that there was a cold and indifferent aura coming from between Yi Hua's brows. This is my Yi Hua, my son. This was also the first time Yi Hua saw his mother. Compared to what he imagined, his mother seemed a bit different. No matter what, my mother is a deity, and she should be living a life of luxury. However, looking at the woman in front of me, her body was thin, her clothes were simple and elegant, her black hair was naturally messy, and there were even some white hairs on her sideburns. Her entire temperament was very different. However, Yi Hua had never seen that pair of doting eyes before. Even Qinya and Dongwang Baiji had never seen such a pair of eyes before. This kind of feeling is hard to describe, but it just makes me feel warm. This kind of warmth is very comfortable, just like bathing under the winter sun. Yi Hua saw that his mother in front of him stretched out her hand towards his face. Right now, Yi Hua had two choices in his heart. One was to stop her. The other was to allow it. However, if I stop her, will I make her sad? Even if I'm not her son, I can at least make her happy for a bit. Although I am her son in the past. It's just that the things that Yi Hua did in the past are actually being taken care of by me. I really don't know how the Yi Hua lived in the past. He should be very weak, right? Yi Hua guessed correctly. Towards his enemies, the Yi Hua in the past was very fierce, but towards his own people, he couldn't be fierce at all. He could clearly kill them to prevent future troubles, but that kindness of his left behind a seed of trouble. In the end, Yi Hua still allowed it. Mother's hands were different from Qinya and the others' hands. The hands of Qinya and the others were very tender and smooth. All of them were women who had never done any chores before and had maintained their hands very well. However, his mother was different. Her palms were rough, but her palms were warm. This caused Yi Hua to feel a new emotion. I, the Supreme Overlord, am rather happy today. This is the feeling of kinship. It is indeed not bad. It was very comfortable. Lu Jing, get away from him. He's here to harm our family. Yi Shan's figure flashed, and he was as fast as the wind. However, no matter how fast a person was, could he be faster than Yi Hua? Wasn't this showing off in front of Guan Yu? Yi Hua could be seen slowly raising his right hand. Pa! It was the divine finger snapping technique again. This was also one of Yi Hua Jin's most commonly used moves, mainly because it was effective, so he used it more often. When he was outside, he had to remember to snap his fingers. Maybe it would work? Just like now, an unknown red gas had enveloped the air. Yi Shan's body gradually appeared, as if he was trapped in an unknown red gas. No matter how he struggled, it was to no avail. Yi Juetian was dumbfounded. Overlords were divided into low grade, middle grade, high grade, and high grade. Father's overlord strength had reached middle grade, but in Big Brother's hands, he was simply like a monkey. Just how strong is Big Brother? Could it be that Big Brother has already reached high grade overlord? Or could it be that he has already reached high grade overlord? Bullshit. Yi Hua only knows about Supreme Overlord. If there was a title above it, he would definitely put it on. After all, I, the Supreme Overlord, am the strongest. Lu Jing didn't even look at Yi Shan. Her eyes were fixated on her son. Her hands were lightly caressing onto her son's cheeks, and tears were slowly falling down. Meanwhile, Yihua looked at his mother who was in front of him, and his right hand was slightly swaying. As the father, Yishan was being swung around by his son, just like that. Endless rumbling sounds rang out from Yi family, and all of the buildings in Yi family were smashed into pieces by Yishan. Meanwhile, Yihua continued to wave his fingers, seemingly using this method to wash away the grievances that his mother had suffered for many years. Yi Chun and the others didn't know what to do. Big Brother's change caused them to feel afraid. In the past, they still dared to clamor because Big Brother wouldn't do anything to them. But now, do we dare to clamor? Could it be that we are going to become like Father, being played around by Big Brother's fingers? It is very terrifying. Perhaps it was because the commotion caused by Yi family was very big. A lot of people in Lingdu were woken up by the commotion, especially the big families that lived next to Yi family. Rumbling sounds could be clearly heard coming from Yi family's side. Are they tearing down a family? The Yi clan was really generous. Qian Yuqing was a little unable to stand still. Just what happened to Yi family? Could it be that something happened to Yi Juetian? Yuqing. Just as Qian Yuqing was about to move, Qian Yi's voice suddenly rang out. Qian Yuqing slightly lowered her head. Father, Yuqing, you have done too many things for Yi family. You should have your own life. Do you understand, child? How could Qian Yi not know that her daughter had compromised for the sake of the spiritual spring? However, this is also good. At least there is one thing that can make her daughter compromise. Qian Yuqing listened to the endless sounds coming from far away, then nodded her head. I understand. All right, go back and sleep peacefully. Qian Yi rubbed on her daughter's head and said with a doting smile. Qian Yuqing turned around and walked into the house, but she didn't sleep and looked at the secret passage at the side. However, looking at the shadows outside, if Father doesn't find anyone after coming in, he will definitely suspect this secret. It is better not to use it. I am really worried about Yi family. Just what happened? Qian Yi stood outside the house and looked towards Yi family's direction, not planning to go and join in the liveliness. In spiritual capital, if one didn't have the confidence, one shouldn't go and interfere in other matters. After all, one would bring trouble to oneself, especially this kind of fight. The entire spiritual capital knew what happened to Yi family, but no one came to watch the liveliness, because everyone's thoughts were the same as Qian Yi's. One can listen to the liveliness, but one mustn't go and watch. If one saw something that one shouldn't know, then it would be hard to say. The water in this spiritual capital is very deep. In Yi family, if one looked down from above, more than half of Yi family's buildings had collapsed, and Yishan was like a huge iron ball crashing here and there. Suddenly, Yihua put down his hand and slightly raised his head to look at the night sky. A warrior wearing golden armor appeared. This was, of course, Sky Bearing, who rushed over. Sky Bearing stood in the air and looked at the entire Yi family with a strange expression. Just what is going on? Aren't those the Yi family brothers? What is this Yi family doing? End of this chapter. Chapter 983. Were they all sick? Who was that person? Why does he look like Yi Juetian? No, Yi Juetian was at the side. Then he is. Yi Chun and the rest also saw the arrival of Sky Bearing. There wasn't a single person in spiritual capital who didn't know Sky Bearing. After all, he was the emperor's personal guard and a very popular person. He belonged to the same generation as Yihua, and back then, he and Yihua were also two heroes. However, Yihua's brilliance had completely overshadowed Sky Bearing. This caused others to only know of Yihua and not know who Sky Bearing was. It was only after Yihua got into an accident that Cheng Tian gradually appeared in everyone's eyes, and he climbed all the way to become the emperor's favorite. To the people of Sky Bearing Empire, there was also a shadow in their hearts, and that was Yihua. Outstanding people will always attract the jealousy of others. Back then, other than Qian Yuqing, Yihua basically didn't have any social connections. He was cold and aloof, but his attitude was the same as now. It was hateful. What he lacked was a girl's liking, but there were none of them. Yihua raised his head and looked towards Sky Bearing. Their gazes collided in the air. Yi Hua's incomparably cold eyes caused Sky Bearing's body to tremble. This pair of eyes had appeared in his dreams more than once. She wanted to defeat him, but she had no way to do so, even in her dreams. Wasn't he dead? How could a dead person come back? Sky Bearing could not help but rub his eyes to confirm if this was real. In his heart, he was telling himself that this was fake. This is fake. It can't be true. But no matter how he rubbed it, the demon was still standing there. Even the golden armor on Sky Bearing's body had dimmed quite a bit. It really followed the mood of its owner. Sky Bearing Empire looked at the figure in the ruins. Isn't that Yishan? How'd he end up in such a sorry state? Chung Tian took in a deep breath and suppressed the fear in his heart. Maybe it wasn't what he thought. Chung Tian and the people behind him slowly descended. Yi Hua silently looked at these people while shielding his mother behind him. Towards this subconscious action, Yi Hua paused for a moment. He began to understand what had happened in the past. It was natural for a son to protect his mother. There was no need to think too much about it. It was the same the other way around. Yi Juetian, who was at the side, was slightly nervous. The Sky Bearing Empire was not one to be trifled with. However, Yi Juetian had forgotten that right now, Yi Hua was not someone to be trifled with. When his temper flared up, he would behead all of them. Yichen did not dare to say anything now. This unfamiliar big brother even dared to beat their own father, much less them. What's going on? Sky Bearing bellowed. I am now an imperial bodyguard of the Emperor and not the Sky Bearing Empire of the past. Even if you are Yi Hua, you are not the Yi Hua of the past. Your return will only make those who hate you even more, because you didn't die. Yi Chun and the others lowered their heads in silence, not daring to act rashly. Sky Bearing frowned. What was the meaning of this? In the past, even if they were in front of Yi Hua, they wouldn't be so reserved, and they would even say that their big brother wasn't Yi Hua. But now he didn't. He didn't dare to say a word. Who are you? Chung Tian looked towards Yi Hua and asked. Yi Juetian wanted to say something, but he was stopped by Yi Hua. Yi Juetian asked faintly, why do you idiots want to ask the same question? In actuality, don't you all know what's going on in your hearts? Yi Juetian gave him a thumbs up in his heart. My big brother is still the most awesome. Following behind my big brother is so cool. Afterward, Lu Jing, who was behind Yi Hua, slightly wrinkled her eyebrows. Right now, Yi Hua's way of speaking is a bit rude. I have to properly change Yi Hua's attitude. This won't do. I have to be polite. In the past, Yi Hua was just too polite. When Sky Bearing heard Yi Hua's words, his brows wrinkled. Is this really Yi Hua? If not, how would he dare to speak like this? F***, is this really Yi Hua or not? Boom! An explosion could be heard from within the ruins, and Yi Shan's body soared into the sky, then landed on the ground. Unfilial son. Right after Yi Shan's words finished, Yi Shan's body was once again sent flying. This time, he crashed into the ruins and didn't come out again. After Yi Chun and the others saw this, they shivered and didn't dare to say anything. As soon as Lord Father came out, he inexplicably flew out. This was completely unreasonable. Lord Father hadn't even finished speaking. Lu Jing was a bit dazed as well. Why did Yi Hua hit me? Did I see wrongly just now? Yi Hua, what you're doing is wrong. How can you hit me? Even if you want to hit me, you shouldn't do it in front of so many people. Let's just secretly hit your father. Sky Bearing was stupefied. His son hit his father. He hit me so openly. I have never seen such a thing before. Today, my horizons have been broadened. However, here comes the problem. I didn't even notice how Yishan was hit just now. Yishan had already turned into an afterimage and disappeared. Could it be that after disappearing for so many years, this Yi Hua's strength has already reached an abnormal level? How is this possible? However, what should I do now? Am I going to be beaten up like Yishan? I am the Emperor's imperial bodyguard. Even if I give him 100 guts, I wouldn't dare to do this. Yi Hua, you actually dare to hit your own father. Your heart deserves to be put to death. Sky Bearing shouted out towards Yi Hua. Yi Hua said faintly, is that so? I have recently lost my memory, and I can't remember things very clearly. Also, I didn't know how to control my strength when I attacked. It would be bad if I were to injure myself. This persistence was a blatant threat. Yi Juetian felt that his big brother is too arrogant to actually dare to even threaten the emperor's imperial bodyguard. This is too awesome. When can I be like big brother? Lu Jing was the same. When did Yi Hua become so arrogant? No, Wonder Little Tian said that big brother has changed. This change is too big. Right now, Yi Chun and the others seem to have gotten used to it. They stood at the side and didn't say a word. Do you know who I am? To actually dare to speak arrogantly. I seem to have the right not to know. Which ball are you? To dare to speak in front of me. Not everyone has the right to speak in front of me. You will pay the price. Sky Bearing couldn't help but want to draw out his blade, but just now, Yi Shan was beaten up if Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. I am watching. What are you watching? I'm watching how you're going to pay the price. Yi Hua puffed out a mouthful of smoke. Lu Jing felt that the things that Yi Hua smoked were definitely not good for his body. All mothers are like this. No matter how old their son is, they would always take care of him as if he was still a child. Sky Bearing took in a deep breath. If this matter wasn't because of Yi Hua, it would be very easy to deal with. This Yi Hua suddenly came back. This isn't a simple matter. Yi Hua was a general in the past. After Yi Hua died, he was directly conferred the title of a brave, great general, enjoying all the privileges of the emperor. However, right now, he actually died for no reason. That is, a brave, great general who didn't die, enjoying all the privileges of the emperor. Just what is going on? Is he crazy? With this kind of attitude of yours, the emperor will definitely punish you. Just you wait and see. After finished speaking, Sky Bearing left without any hesitation at all. Yi Hua shook his head. These deities are all cowards. Chapter 984. Just like that, Yi Chun and the others watched as Sky Bearing became more powerful. He was actually so powerful. When he came, he was full of vigor. But after seeing Big Brother, it was like a mouse seeing a cat, instantly terrified. Are you still an imperial bodyguard? Is this how you behave? Do you still have a bottom line? Do you still have any professional ethics? Spirits were not allowed to fight, but this was nothing. Was this not considered a fight? What was considered a fight? The entire Yi family had become like this. Oh my God, when this Big Brother returns, he will turn the entire spirit capital upside down. Yi Hua, have you eaten? Mother will go and cook for you. Right now, Lu Jing didn't care about anything else. With both of her sons by her side, she was already very satisfied. Right now, Yi Hua felt a bit awkward and didn't know how he should reply. Mother, Big Brother and I are hungry. Yi Juetian said happily at the side. With such an awesome Big Brother, who wouldn't like him? He was much more promising than himself. Lu Jing hurriedly said, Mother is going to cook for you and your brother. Yi Hua, wait for Mother. You're not allowed to leave, okay? Yi Hua nodded his head, but did not say anything. Towards Yi Hua's attitude, Lu Jing felt that it was normal. After all, it had been such a long time since they last met, and furthermore, Yi Hua had even lost his memories. Yi Hua watched as Lu Jing left happily. Soon after, he looked towards Yi Chun and the others. Yi Chun and the others shrunk back, not daring to look straight at Yi Hua. Are you still not going to scram? Are you going to stay here to eat? Yi Hua said coldly. Yi Chun, Yi Liangkai, and Yi Zhe immediately performed cup fist salutes and left immediately. They were probably going to look for their unconscious father and think of a solution. This Big Brother was too arrogant. He must protect yourself well. Yi Hua and Yi Juetian walked into the house at the back. Yi Hua sized up his mother's room. Very small, very ordinary. My mother has been living in this kind of broken-down place. It is simply an insult to me. Big Brother, what's the matter? Yi Juetian poured a cup of water for Yi Hua. Yi Hua let out a breath. Has she been living here all along? Right now, Yi Hua still couldn't call her by her name. Big Brother, aren't you going to return the favor? Yi Juetian poked Yi Hua with his buttocks. Yi Hua glared at Yi Juetian. Yi Juetian had an indifferent look on his face. He is my big brother, and we are all brothers. What's wrong with joking around? Was Big Brother going to slap him? Big Brother, Ever since he disappeared, Mother has been living here. Apart from me, there's no one else here, Yi Juetian said helplessly. In Yihua's mind, he couldn't help but think of his mother just now. And suddenly, his heart felt a bit stuffy. Why don't we bring him down? After staying in Wushu Empire's palace, this room seemed to be filled with misery and bitterness. Big brother, you've beaten up father and the ninth prince. You've even offended Sky Bearing just now. Sky Bearing is the favorite of the emperor. Yi Juetian couldn't help but worry about this. Big brother had offended a lot of people. It hadn't even been 2 hours. If he stayed for a day, he would have offended everyone. So high. It was so cold. After hearing that, Yihua laughed lightly. They're just a bunch of clowns. You have to get rid of your bad habit of being afraid of trouble. After that, he took out a cigarette and lit it. Big brother was awesome. Even this action revealed a kind of pretentiousness. No wonder he couldn't catch up with his big brother's footsteps. He was a little behind. Big brother, let me eat. Yihua took out a cigarette and passed it to his little brother. This is called smoking. Smoke? It sounds amazing. Juetian lit the cigarette and took a breath. He immediately choked. Seems like even supreme beings can't take it. It's not easy to smoke. Juetian frowned and said. Yihua shook his head. What does a young man like you know? It's a kind of loneliness. Yi Juetian looked at his big brother. He didn't understand, but he felt that it was awesome. As expected, this was something that he couldn't learn. Big brother, little brother has learned it. Yi Juetian imitated Yihua's expression, deep and depressed. Yihua said calmly, you still have a lot to learn in the future. Big brother, please enlighten me. Sure. Suddenly, the door was pushed open. Yi family and Yi Juetian smoked as they looked at Lu Jing who entered. Right now, the small room was filled with fog. It was simply like heaven on earth. What are you two brothers doing? Lu Jing shouted, looking like she was scolding her sons. Yi Juetian's hand trembled, and he immediately extinguished the cigarette. He had a deep hatred towards them. Yihua stealthily stepped on the cigarette and extinguished it, then said gravely, Yi Juetian, don't give me these things in the future. They are very harmful. Yi Juetian. Lu Jing directly looked towards Yi Juetian. Little Tian, how can you be like this? When your big brother comes, you immediately act recklessly. If anything happens to your big brother, I will beat you up. Yi Juetian. Yihua sat at the side and didn't say anything. Yi Juetian looked at his big brother, then looked at his mother. You two are bullying me. Yihua, your little brother is very mischievous. In the future, properly take care of your little brother. Lu Jing placed the cooked dishes on the table. In Lu Jing's heart, these were Yihua's 3 favorite dishes. Shredded pork with green pepper, spicy tofu, red braised pork. Yihua looked at the dishes that his mother cooked, and his heart felt warm. These dishes were much better than what Qinya and the others cooked. Lu Jing scooped a bowl of rice and placed it beside her son. Yihua, try it. It has been a very long time since mother cooked. Yihua answered, then picked up the chopsticks and tasted the food. This feeling, why does it feel just like when I ate Auntie's fruit jimbing back then? That warm feeling, I am willing to be nagged by her. It has been a very long time since I had this kind of feeling. Yihua just likes to lie to himself and look for that warm feeling from Auntie's place. It's just that I don't want to admit it. Towards familial love, Yihua had a look of indifference, but in actuality, what he hoped to obtain the most was familial love. Is it delicious? Lu Jing asked tenderly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with love, seemingly afraid that the child would starve. It's delicious, Yihua said with a gloomy tone. His heart was very touched. Eat more then. In the future, mother will cook for you every day. Lu Jing's smile was about to blossom. This is too blissful, too satisfied. Yihua nodded his head and slowly ate the food. It's so fragrant. Mother, what about me? Yi Juetian asked blankly. This is simply the rhythm of wanting a big brother and not a little brother. Mother, you can't be so biased. Little Tian, what are you doing here? Quickly go. and pour some water for your big brother. My mother, hurry up. Mother's really too fond of you. Yi Juetian was very speechless. This mother's being biased way too openly. Right now, Yuhua was very happy. I haven't been this happy for a very long time. However, when there are people who are happy, there are people who are tragic. Yishan belonged to the tragic category. There was also Sky Bearing. Right now, Sky Bearing hurriedly rushed over to the Emperor's sleeping palace. Your Majesty, something big has happened. The lights in the room were on, but there was no reply. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.